Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for joining me tonight for some Evil Dead Rise chat. We have some awesome guests on tonight. We have Destiny Faulkner over here. I pointed the wrong direction. And we've got
Hello,
our boy.
sorry.
Oh, I didn't know if you heard me.
Oh my god.
How's it going tonight, Destiny?
It's going great. I'm fucking it up already, so I'm excited to get into it.
This makes it more fun.
Exactly.
And down below, we've got our two boys from Good Real Hunting, Brett and Brad. How's it going, my boys?
Very well, man. How are you?
Oh, doing great. I just saw the movie like 3 hours ago, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah,
Fresh
I'm glad
on
Brad's
that.
finally with me on one of these live streams on somebody else's channel. It's been forever.
I know, it's great to have Brad on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was nice to get an invite, man. It was glad
Brad,
to be here.
Okay,
Stoked.
hold up. You're always invited. You're always just busy.
That's partially true. I don't know. I always see Brett on random shows all the time, and I never hear anything about it. So I'm just like, all right, cool. I'll be there.
Okay, you know what? I'll tell you.
Yeah.
one thing
I
I'm
always
going
extend.
on.
I always tell Brett, I'm like, if Brad's free,
Okay, I'll tell Brad from now on. Every time I go on somebody else's channel, I'll send him a time and a link. So.
Hell yeah.
You're
Fantastic.
right hand man.
Mm-hmm.
second, I'm gonna share that we're actually live. So, what was your guys' like out of theater reaction to it? Like when you finished the movie, how were you feeling? Destiny, if you want to go.
So I saw it Friday, so I was seeing everyone's like reaction like Thursday and everything, and it was like getting me like really excited, and I was like, oh, like I can't wait, it's gonna be crazy. And then I walked out, and don't get me wrong, I loved it. Okay, I did love it, but I was like, that wasn't as crazy as I was expecting it to be. There's definitely like I think it had a lot of blood. I think it could have used more gore, especially a scene that was played up so much. It could have went on way longer, and it didn't. So that was actually a little disappointing. So I felt a tad bit disappointed just from seeing everyone's reactions, and maybe that's also my fault too. I let myself get overhyped by everyone else, and seeing it all over TikTok and how people are talking about how like crazy it is and like, oh my God. And I'm just like, man, but maybe we're desensitized at this point. I don't know. So maybe it was a lot for some people and just wasn't enough for me. But I really enjoyed it still. I did love it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I was between a 3.5 and a 4. So I leaned 4 because I did really enjoy it. It was a lot of fun. But I think it could have pushed more boundaries. And I really wish it would have, because 2013, I think, is a hard movie to follow up when it comes to that, the gore and the blood. And I was kind of hoping it would raise that, and it didn't for me. But overall, I still had a lot of fun. I really did enjoy it a lot.
What about you, Brad?
I really felt good about it, man. I went into this thing because I saw it Friday after a lot of people had already had a chance to see it. I had really high expectations for it because the word of mouth was really good. It came out with a 98 or 96 on Rotten Tomatoes. Everybody's like, oh, it's the best movie of the year. So I went in really, really, really high expectations, and maybe about 2/3 of the way through, I was like, I think this was maybe a little bit overhyped, is what I was thinking as I was watching it. But then the third act kicked off, and that was pretty much that was a kick-ass time. So that kind of swung me back around to really loving it. So I don't know. I'm probably gonna have to go back and watch it again. I also was just really tired that day, and the allergies were killing me. I was freaking blowing my nose the whole time. So, so that didn't help. But yeah, I mean, overall, I thought it was really enjoyable. I really liked the family dynamic they threw in for the characters. I thought it was one of the better core groups of characters we've had in the franchise in the movie. There were room for them to be better, but I think, just comparing them to other groups of characters in the franchise, they were really good. So overall, I really dug it. I probably gave it like a 4.24 to 4.25, somewhere in there.
Hell yeah. Yeah, for me, I was when I was trying to tell people like how it is, like Brad Destiny mainly is just like, oh, I thought it was awesome, and I still think it was awesome. But again, I was trying to be careful with my words because I didn't want to overhype it. But it was like, well, it's already too late on that. Everybody was overhyping it. I was like, crap. So I might as well overhype it too. I thought it was awesome. Yeah, I agree with Desi. It could have pushed more boundaries into it, especially the cheese grater scene. That was the thing I was most looking forward to, and they just They didn't do anything with it hardly, and that was just really disappointing. But other than that, though, I really enjoyed the core group of characters a lot better than 2013. But let's talk about like that one character standout. It's still going to be Mia. Definitely had a better standout, but I thought Beth with Lily Sullivan was phenomenal. And with Alyssa Sutherland, can we just go ahead and say she is the most terrifying Deadite I've ever seen to date? With her like mannerisms, the way she looked, like just oh my god, like literally at times I'm like, okay, this bitch is scaring me. I know she's not a bitch because I know she's an absolute sweetheart in real life from everything I've been seeing on her social medias, but I'm like, nope, get her away from me. That's how bad she scared me. The third act, bloody good time. Loved the visuals of it, and overall just had a really good time with it. And I hope the rumors are true that we're going to get more Evil Dead movies with a like every couple of years, new setting, new characters, same old batshit craziness. I really hope. I think with the numbers that came out today, like weekend numbers, I think that rumor is going to be a reality.
Yeah, she makes a mean breakfast though too, Birdie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Frank. What, Brad? What did you say in our live interactive review? What kind of omelet?
That's an eggshell omelet all day. No cheese, just shell.
Just shell. No cheese, just shell. Oh, extra protein. So
Yeah,
That's true.
Fiber?
there you go.
Like
probably.
Brad already knows about the fiber.
I agree with what you said, though, Brett. I would love to have another one of these movies every couple of years, different setting, new group of characters, and maybe even see the return of somebody like Mia from the 2013 movie. Like, it'd be really cool. I don't expect like Bruce to return again at this point, but if he did, I'd be happy to see him. It'd actually be cool to see him in like one of these serious Evil Deads, even if it was just briefly.
Well, you know, he was in this Evil Dead movie. As he did a voice cameo in this movie. Did you realize that, Josh?
I don't know if I noticed it. I knew I had heard about that, but I think I forgot about it. While
Okay,
I was
you know
watching the movie.
the final player that played, and you heard the voice and all that was explaining things.
Oh, that's him?
Yeah, that was him.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I didn't notice either. But I read somewhere online that it's like, yeah, he was in the movie, like as a voice cameo.
That's really cool, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. That is really cool.
Bruce being the damn man, so.
Well, he definitely altered his voice a little bit for it.
Yeah, I think they did like some like kind of like adjusting like editing, but from what I understood, it was him.
Yeah, that's really cool. Actually, next time I watch it, I'll have to listen to that more closely.
Mm-hmm. So
let's see who we've got going in the chat here. We've got Ashton Luck. He says hello to everybody.
Hola.
Lamontre is in the chat. August is here. Oh, Burns Reviews. How's it going, man?
Hola.
Hatchet Boys in the chat. Fluff Salisbury, how's it going?
Brother Fluff.
And Mark Jones. Oh.
Yes, sir.
Hatchet Boys. Evil dies tonight.
Not how many times have we heard that?
Hey, Matt made a really good joke about, he's like, evil dies tonight, more like evil rise tonight. And I was like,
that's actually not bad.
That was actually really good. It made me laugh.
Just for anybody who's wondering too, we're just going to talk like generally about the movie for a few minutes before we dive into spoilers. So when we do get into spoilers, I'll put the spoiler tag up on the screen, and then anyone who wants to hop out can.
Okay. Is it
so
better than the first four?
Yeah, Mark asks, "Is it better than the first four?" You guys don't have to give your rankings if you don't want, because I know you're probably going to be doing like a video on that or something. But what do you think?
Yeah, me and Brett actually recorded our ranking video like 2 hours ago. If I'm going to try to release it tomorrow, so yeah.
Well, just to give your general ideas on how you compare it to the first four.
Okay.
I'll just say where it is on my rank. I don't know if we're gonna do a ranking or not, and like even if we do, I'll just repeat myself. I put this one. I put the original first, 2013 second, and I would put Rise third. So I do think I love the original for one. Like it is the original, but I just love the tone and like how nasty and gritty and like low budget it looks. Like I really do love that. And then I love 2013 for almost the same, but then the complete opposite for how big and nasty and gross it is.
Yeah.
This one, like Evil Dead, like controversial opinions. I'm not the biggest fan of 2, and I'm definitely not the biggest fan of Army of Darkness. Like I don't even like the movie. Like I do like Evil Dead 2. I don't like Army of Darkness. So, like the first one, 2013, and then I would say Rise for sure. So I do think it's better than a couple of them. But then again, my opinions on Evil Dead franchise are not the same with a lot of people because a lot of people love 2 and Army of Darkness a lot. So not me so much. But I do think it is better than some of the other ones.
Yeah, it really depends on what your flavor is, what your cup of tea is, because this franchise is so different. You know, the first 3 movies are very different from the last 2. But I think in general, for most people, it's probably going to fall somewhere in the middle. It's kind of where it is for me. And it could go up. Honestly, I liked it more than 2013 just because I like the characters more. You know, the Carnage wasn't quite as up there as the 2013 one was, but I just felt more invested in the story. But yeah, I mean, it could go all the way. I'm not super like connected to the first 2 movies either. In the franchise, I watched those, you know, later in life. So, in comparison, so, you know, I'm open to it being overtaken, but I've only seen it once. So yeah, I would say it's probably somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, definitely middle for me as well. I really enjoyed this, and just to kind of touch upon like Destiny, we're like the same on the Evil Dead franchise. We like a more serious tone than the comedic tone. I'm on that same side as she is as well. I like my Evil Dead to be more serious and dark and greedy and nasty, which I do respect Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2. I do respect them for what they were trying to do with the comedy. And I feel like it worked better in Evil Dead 2 versus Army of Darkness. Army of Darkness just went way out on the comedy and just kind of forgot what Deadites kind of like the meaning of the Deadites in the franchise. Like they were just made out to be a complete joke. But I would put Evil Dead Rise somewhere in the middle. I won't tell you exactly where I will put it, but I will even say I almost wanted to put it at number 1 at a point. But there is a particular movie that I just hold more respect on. But I definitely would put Evil Dead Rise like somewhere in the top 3.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree on that. I actually have a very similar ranking to Destiny, and I guess also what you were kind of saying there, Brett, where I prefer the more serious, like Evil Dead's, like this one in 2013, and even the first one is not. It's not like super crazy serious, but it's more serious than 2 and 3. Even when you got like the Deadites laughing and stuff. But I would say like 2 I do like, but like when I was younger, I seem to remember 2 being my favorite, but that's definitely not the case anymore. And Army of Darkness, like, yeah, this might be controversial, but I don't really like Army of Darkness either. There's little things in the movie that I find kind of interesting, like them talking about or like showing the 3 different books and stuff like that. But it's I first of all, I hate movies that are set like back in the day or whatever, even like in the past, like that far back.
Medieval.
Yeah, medieval. I'm not a fan of that. And then the humor is way too over the top. Like they just overdid it too much. The movie's not scary at all at any point. So it's
No, it
not,
really was.
What are you talking about, man? You didn't find all those skeletons to be scary?
the laughing skeletons who are constantly talking and like making jokes.
And you're not, Brad, you're telling me you weren't afraid, or I'm sorry, Josh, you tell me you weren't afraid of that she bitch?
No, unfortunately not. No, there's really nothing about that movie that did it for me.
Man, you know what? It really scared everybody. Come on, that was pillow talk, baby. Like,
yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, pillow talk.
Chris says that he thinks it's better than the first 3, but not sure if it's better than 2013.
See, that's the question. It just keeps on flipping back and forth with me. I'm not too sure just yet what I won.
Yeah, I will agree that I do, because like I had watched 2013 with Brett, Brad, and Mia, and then I watched it like a week or 2 before that. So I've seen 2013 twice in the past 2 weeks, really, and I hadn't seen that one since 2013, even though a lot of it did stick with me. But the characters, I don't, besides Mia, and maybe her brother, and maybe the friend that's like a nurse that's like helping. Besides them, like I don't really care for any of the characters. So I will agree that I do like the characters a lot in this one. They
Yeah.
could have been better, of course. There could have been more. I think they try to kind of like shoehorn in like some little things here and there, like with what's going on in their like personal lives and stuff like that. And I think they could have definitely developed them a little bit more. But I do like the characters in this movie, even though we don't know a whole lot about them. I did enjoy all the characters for like what they were doing.
Yeah, for sure, man. I do. Yeah, I agree 100%. Like there's room for improvement, but very solid. Very solid.
Yeah,
Across the
like
board.
I definitely agree with that. That's why I at this time have like Evil Dead Rise over 2013 was mainly due to the family characters, because you definitely want to invest more into that family than you do in the 2013 characters, with the exception of Mia. And I feel like, and again, Beth was a good character in this movie. It's just a lot of us Evil Dead fans, it's kind of like, well, she's not Mia. But I still thought Lily Sulfit did a really great job with it for what she was given to do. So that's why, like, just a minor up for Evil Dead Rise over 2013. But yeah, I gotta agree with Destiny. Evil Dead Rise could have easily gone more towards like nasty and greedy, just to give us something more or on par with what 2013 did.
Yeah,
I really
and it
like
makes
Beth.
me wonder, like, if 2013 didn't have like such a strong character like as Mia, and if it didn't have like that ending when it like goes raining blood and everywhere, like I wonder how like high like regarded it would be among like the horror community if it wasn't for Mia. Because I feel like Mia is definitely my favorite part of 2013. Like I said, like she's really the character I care about the most, because she goes through so much and she has to play so many different versions of herself. And in this, we don't get a whole lot of that, which I do like that it wasn't like that. And that's what I like about this movie is like it's still an Evil Dead movie at heart, but they took creative liberties, which I thought really worked for this. Something we hadn't really seen before that I appreciated. And I appreciate that this movie, it's not a very happy movie. There's really not a whole lot that's like, oh, happy ever after. No, it's fucked. Like everyone, whether they live or die, you're fucked. That is so traumatizing what you've been through and what you've seen. Lives are changed. Nothing will ever be the same. Witnessed so much crazy shit. Like, how do you move on from that? So I would love to see like a crossover. I don't know how they would do it. I would like to see a crossover one day between these characters and Mia somehow. However, they make it work for them to come together. Just because I just want to see Mia back in some regards. I think she was in like the game, right? You have to like pay to get her or something like that. But
I
I
haven't
want to
got
see her.
that far yet, but I'll let you know soon.
That's what I heard. I haven't even played the game. I want to. I do want to. I just want to see Mia back in some form. Like if she was in this movie, oh man. Oh man. This could have probably taken like number one, really.
God, see, I thought of an idea where you could do like a cruise ship Evil Dead, where like you're just stuck in the middle of the ocean. The Necrocons, that someone put the book on there, or like a collector or
That's cool.
something. Then you can have like Mia and Beth there just on vacation. Like that could potentially make sense. You know what? If you wanted to, you could even have Ash there just for the
He
hell
could be
of it.
he could be the cruise director, dude.
Exactly.
There we
That would be
go.
a nice cameo. Like.
Okay, hear me out. They're on a cruise because I've never been on one, but they usually dock places. They dock somewhere, they go searching, they find the book. That's how we get the book. They're like, oh, they're excavating. I don't know, whatever you do on vacation, and then they find the book.
Usually
and then
excavation. Excavations usually makes for good vacations.
Oh, definitely. I would love to go dig in the dirt on my
Yeah.
vacation. So, hey, you do that, you get the book, you're on the cruise ship. Could you imagine that sort of how they did it in this one, how it's projecting out? But could you imagine that like over the intercom, it's just going off and everyone's like, what the fuck is going
Oh my
on?
God.
And
I
then
could see
it goes
that. That'd be
crazy.
cool.
And then the captain of the ship is the one. It's like the main deadite. Like, oh my god, that
And
to me
then
that could be a lot of fun.
there's an iceberg.
That's what I was about to say, dude.
And then they hit the iceberg, and then surprise, it's a Titanic prequel that you didn't even know was coming.
And then we all,
That would
and
be
then we all
Titanic,
would
a true
be,
story.
and we
That
would
would
be
be-
freaking Leo DiCaprio in the theater going, hey.
I've seen this movie.
That would be pretty badass if the third act, the ship's sinking down, and they have to do all this shit and freaking fight deadites while the ship is sinking. It'd be pretty cool.
Right?
That would be really cool. I think
They're
I
like
agree
sucking
with
up
you.
all the wires and shit, like going crazy, and it's all like malfunctioning and everything. All the lights shutting off. I can just see it now.
Oh my god!
Maybe we should copyright this idea just in case.
And
I think
it's a good
idea to
and here's how
copyright
we ended it. We ended with a character and another character on this little platform, okay? And they finally proved the theory that two people could fit on that platform versus just one person.
Yeah, where
Yes.
you get one person on the door and they're fighting off dead ice. They're coming out of the water and shit, freaking throwing up on people, and they're
Oh my
they're holding
god,
their ground.
that sounds so freaking amazing. Yeah, copyright this video right now. Like,
Then you
Yeah.
get frozen deadites. Then they freeze because they're in the
Yeah.
North Atlantic. Yeah, do that. Yeah,
They're
hell
just like
yeah.
reaching up, and it's like the
Yeah.
classic reaching out of like the ground, but instead they're reaching out of the water, and then they just sink down because they're frozen.
and then
Or
all
maybe
of a
they're-
sudden, and Brad's gonna love this part right here. All of a sudden, freaking Fish Boy from House of a Thousand Corpses pops up in the middle of the ocean.
Now we're
Like
reaching.
Dead-eye Fish Boy.
Now
Now
we're
we're
reaching.
reaching.
Oh, dadgummit. See, this is why Brad always has to calm me down. Like, such a dream killer.
I like where your head's at. I do like where your head's at. I think it's a
Me
good
too.
I
idea.
think we started off really strong. I think we got a little silly towards the end, but
Yeah,
I
we
think the
we
core
went
idea
from
is there.
I would like
we
to see
went
the
from
return of Fish Boy.
2013 to Army of Darkness at the end. So
That is true. We were
Yeah.
going good. We fucked it
yeah,
up.
I fucked it up. So I'm out of here.
I do think
Alright.
doing another movie on a boat or even on like a plane or something like that is a really good idea because it's still
Ooh.
claustrophobic, but it has enough space for you to do lots of things on it.
Yeah.
More
Yeah,
so
you-
a boat than a plane, but
You could make it. I mean, we've seen plane movies where the bad guy's been, isolated to one area of the plane or whatever, and people are like, it could work. It'd be cool. Yeah.
If it will take it to space and ruin the franchise.
Speed 3, dude. Cruise control again. That would be cool.
Oh my gosh.
actually, you could totally do Deadites in space, but it would have a little bit of a ridiculous feel because it's a space horror movie. But I
Mm-hmm.
can also see it done on like somehow someone reads the book and then it goes up to the space station or something like that, and everyone starts becoming Deadites.
Yeah,
But-
shit. Yeah, they're like, we got to take this far away from Earth or whatever, and they go to
and
Pluto.
they try to spew the red blood all over the place, and it's gravity. It's just so it slowly floats right to you. Like,
Yeah.
That would be kind of funny.
I'd watch it.
I would watch that actually.
On the Sci-Fi Channel proudly presents Evil Dead in Space.
Evil Dead.
I'm gonna check a few of the comments here. Chris Snyder says he has different opinions on it too. He'd rank it 2013, 1, Rise, then Evil Dead 2, and then Army of Darkness.
Okay.
Not a bad ranking.
No, not at all.
I
As
don't
long
think
as
there's
as long as you put Army of Darkness last, what comes after that honestly really doesn't matter. Like because
Honestly-
it's all correct.
I don't think there's really any wrong way to rank this franchise. I mean, there really isn't. I mean, all the movies are solid. I mean, Army of Darkness, but I mean, if that's your thing, if you're into just freaking silliness, yeah, I mean, why not?
That's fair.
Yeah, and I think that because I also watched this like later, besides 2013, because I did watch that in 2013. But the first 3 movies I didn't watch until a couple of years ago. And I think if I were to watch Army of Darkness as a kid, I think I would have definitely enjoyed it then, and I would enjoy it now because there's so many movies that I love from a kid that watching now, they're not very good, but because I watched them as a kid, I love them. And I feel like that is the case for like a lot of people. A lot of people that grew up with Army of Darkness absolutely loves it. So I understand why. If I would have watched this when I was younger, I would have probably had so much more fun with it. But I was like at the point where like I can handle some silly in some movies, and especially if I'm feeling that kind of mood, like I have to be in a mood to watch something that ridiculous. I need to give it another chance. I've only seen it that one day and I wasn't in the mood for that, but I wanted to get through it so I can, say I've seen, the trilogy. Like at this point, caught up with all the Evil Dead movies. So I want to give it another chance at some point, maybe with a drink or two. I think that would probably help the
It
viewing.
could.
You hear that, Brad? We're getting a drink along together.
Sounds like a good watch party.
That'd be fun.
I would be down for that.
All right, we're gonna put you on the list next time they introduce a new Evil Dead movie when we do a watch series.
There we go. Bring me
I
on
actually-
and bring drinks.
I actually
got
just
it.
watched Army of Darkness like right before the stream started, so that's also kind of fresh in my mind. It's
Nice.
I don't think there's much I think Evil Dead Rise is easily better than Army of Darkness, but I did see some people on Twitter earlier saying that they think that Army of Darkness is the best in the franchise. So there's definitely lots of different Evil Dead fans out there with different opinions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I
people
agree
love
with
it, man.
Brad. There's not really a wrong answer because this is just one of those franchises where like it's so consistent in quality and timeline that it's just like it's one of the best horror franchises out there.
What's the variety too? Like it's done such a good job at maintaining a good level, but there's also very different movies throughout. So it's like, you know what? It just depending on what your flavor is, anything could be number one. Literally. I mean, it has that potential.
Which
Have
is
you
pretty
guys-
cool because sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
We don't really, I feel like, see like horror franchises necessarily like that to where like you could say like Friday 13th, like sure, like it does differ at some points and it does like the tone does change. But like you're saying, this franchise is consistent in like quality, but not so much consistent in, you know, like the way the movies are being told, which I do appreciate because like Brad said, there's something for everyone. Even like if you're not the biggest like fan of these movies, I'm sure there's at least one that you do actually enjoy because they are so different and everything varies so much. And yeah, I would say Evil Dead, the first one and two are obviously pretty similar, you know, like they do the whole, it's basically a remake of the first one. So those are pretty similar, but even then it shifts and you can already feel that shift with it not, you know, from 1 to 2, you can already see like, oh, this is going to be different. And then each movie we get is different. And I think Evil Dead Rise, though, is a good combination of both being scary, you know, like scary, but still comedic. There's still parts in the movies that I was laughing. The girl next to me, we got the trailer for the Boogeyman and she was like doing this. And I was like, oh
God.
fuck, this is going to be fun. You know, sitting next to like but there's even parts where she would get scared, but then she would start laughing too at the funny moments, and we would be like laughing together. Like I don't even know this woman, but we were both like laughing at it. Like this is a good balance between it being serious when it needs to be serious and still being funny. So I think I feel like 2 goes a little bit over the top with the goofiness, and it doesn't have enough horror. But I feel like this is like, I would say like the perfect balance because like even the first Evil Dead has funny moments, but they're like super dry and like super dark. I feel like this one, it's like a good level at both being serious when it needs to be and then funny to release some of that tension. So I do think that they got that down right, in my opinion.
And I'm going to say she knows that because Destiny is a groupie. Isn't that right?
Exactly. I'm a groupie. If there's anyone, you know, just out there, I'll be your groupie. I do.
No, I just find hilarious every time like Bevan says, like, "Oh yeah, she's a groupie." I'm like
that's literally that's how it. I know.
But the funny part was when Ellie, that's the mother's name. Ellie walks out and she turns around. Beth goes, "Boo, pow!" Like, I laughed my ass off into the air because I just like finally someone realistically punches a person that's trying to surprise them.
Yeah, if you surprise me, I'm probably gonna hit you. Even like
I
my
thought you were
brother
gonna
scared
kick.
me today. I either hit or I cower down, like I drop like to the floor. So you never know what's gonna happen. But that is realistic. Like if you walk up to someone and scare them, you're probably gonna get hit. Like that's just your instinct. It's just, you know. So
Yeah.
I did like that. That was pretty funny.
Brad, you would put people in a master lock, right?
I might. Yeah, we'll see what. I mean, it just depends on the scenario, what kind of what the setting looks like, but it's possible.
It's possible. You never know.
Castellar says they did not like the CGI in Evil Dead Rise. What did you guys think about that? I didn't. I mean, I'm sure there was, but I didn't really notice anything that jumped out at me, I guess.
I really noticed a lot of good practical effects in the movie. Honestly, I thought there was
Oh
a
my
lot of good.
God.
Yeah, there's a lot of good effect. I mean, I think maybe at the beginning, I mean, you could. I think there was some stuff throughout there, but there was some good effects. Really, I think the special effects, if anything, was a positive in the movie.
Mhm.
I would agree. There's nothing visually like visual effects that like stuck out and be like, oh, that doesn't look that great. Can't say the same thing for 2013. There are some parts in that movie that it does not hold up.
Jason's worm.
The Jason's worm coming out of Ghost Deadite Mia, whatever the fuck he is, that did not sound that right. But that part I think looks awful in that movie now. But there is nothing in this movie that I was just like, ugh. I thought even visual, whatever effects, practical, fake, whatever, I thought they all looked pretty great.
Same here.
Yes. Yeah, definitely same here. Because there were a lot of times where I was like, wait, is this CGI or is this practical? And when you even get me to ask that question, you know you're doing something right with your effects team for the difference between CGI and practical. But definitely my favorite practical of the whole movie is the whole scissor stab, like right up in the nose. That was like, oh shit, how the hell did they pull that off? So lots of great practical, and CGI did not bother me at all.
No, same. I can't even think of something specifically that really. I know there like a lot of it was practical, but I can't even think of something that was like, oh, that really stood out to me as CGI. I wasn't even thinking about CGI the entire time, to be honest.
That nose scene though, that's how it feels when you have to get a fucking COVID test.
Pointy and painful.
Oh yeah, that was a good scene though. I like that.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised it stunned her though, because usually stuff like that doesn't really bother Deadites that much.
I think again, it's just all about what Deadites do the best in these franchises: play mind games. I think it's more of a mind game technique.
It's true.
They definitely were playing some mind games in this one, man.
Oh yeah.
All right, are we gonna get into spoilers because?
Yeah.
We got to talk about.
One second. Let me just get to the. We have a built backlog of comments here, so let me just get to those, and we can hop into the spoiler chat.
Hell yeah!
Hatchet Boys say, "Hail to the king." Chris says CGI did not bother him. Yeah, I didn't even notice much CGI, honestly. Castellar says he liked Fed Alvarez, Evil Dead more. Okay. Mark says he has grown out of Army of Darkness too. Yeah, I used to like it when I was younger, but it's the last two rewatches have not done it for me at all. I was expecting the mom to send them to S-Mart when they gave him the car keys. That would have been a cool nod. Go to S-Mart.
That would have been perfect.
Yeah, that's pretty clever.
Ashton says Evil Dead 2 is his favorite, but he loves the remake and the Evil Dead. Army of Darkness is okay. Hatchet Boys, do you like the Evil Dead series? I assume you mean the TV show. I actually like the TV show. It also sometimes leans a little bit too much into the silliness, but it has a lot of good gore in it for sure. And I like seeing Ash back.
I saw the first season. I really liked it. I didn't have stars, so I never finished it. So I need to do that. I heard they're taking off Netflix soon, so just
this week.
That's so weird.
Yeah,
with the
there ain't
movie just
no
coming
way.
out.
Yeah, there's no way I could binge that all. Well, maybe I don't want to.
Well, there's
though,
3 seasons, so
yeah, I can't do that.
They're only like the good news is they're only like 30 minutes a piece, so they go by really quick. But yeah it'd be tough.
That's
to get
not
them
bad.
Yeah.
The last season, I know you said you didn't finish it, but the last season has some crazy shit happening in it. I won't spoil it so you guys can watch it, but it's some of the biggest events of the Evil Dead franchise probably happen in that final season, or at least towards the last couple episodes.
Yeah, I need to check it out, man.
Chris says, Rare has a rare thing in the franchise when I liked almost all the characters. Yeah, all the characters were pretty great. I don't think there's any of them that I really disliked. Like, some of the characters in the apartment themselves weren't really, they just like showed up just to be killed off kind of thing. But
yeah.
Let's see here. Castler says Evil Dead is a thrilling franchise. Chris says Beth was great. Now for Evil Dead 6, give me Ash, Mia, Beth coming together for one final movie and wrap it up. Then we have the Ash trilogy and the Generations trilogy, and they could even bring closure to Ash versus Evil Dead in the process. Yeah, I'd be down for that, honestly.
Not bad at all.
Bring it
We've
on.
got
Bring
Michael
Jason and Freddy
Joe
in
the
too.
chat. Oh, that's something I wanted to mention. This is like a light spoiler since we're getting into the spoilers chat anyway. But did you notice there was like, I guess you can either call it a continuity issue, but it's technically not because I don't expect the Evil Dead movies to pay attention to stuff happening in other franchises. But I hated that they went out of their way to say the kids were watching Freddy movies upstairs because Jason Goes to Hell has the Necronomicon in it, which also has Freddy in it, and then Freddy versus Jason happens after like that. I would kind of them just rather not set that at all, so we could still pretend it's all in the same world.
Yeah, in the same universe. Yeah,
I didn't like that. That was my least favorite thing in the movie.
can we just assess the idea of Jason as a Deadeye? Like maybe just kind of open that door back up and just let it happen, man. Just let it roll.
Well, it makes
I'm good with it,
sense.
honestly. Yeah, it totally makes sense to me. I'm actually reading the Jason X sequel novels right now, and in one of them, they talk about how Jason's like grandfather got a hold of the Necronomicon, and it's because of him that Jason is the way he is, and all this kind of stuff. It was kind of interesting, some
So
backstory
cool.
on Jason.
Yeah, I like that.
Let me see here. Michael Joe's first time in the chat. How's it going, Michael Joe? He says he's not a fan of Ash Williams or Evil Dead, but he'll check out this new movie. Well, the good thing about this franchise is there's a lot to choose from. If you don't like the Ash movies, there's the Mia movie and Rise.
Yeah, and I feel like I said earlier, this does feel like an Evil Dead movie at heart, but it also is so different because, we get a change in setting. There's other parts that are different that we haven't really seen in an Evil Dead movie. So I think even if you're not the biggest fan of the other ones, this one still might work for you because it is so different, yet still at the core, it is an Evil Dead movie.
Yeah, it's kind of like the best way I could explain it. It's like it has the blueprint of what you need to make it an Evil Dead movie. But yeah, it doesn't. It just takes what it knows to be the blueprint to be called an Evil Dead movie, but it just runs with it being its own separate thing too. So that's like what it's like. This movie is good within this franchise because again, it gives you a whole nother direction, like for the fans to follow. Like, okay, I could go with this movie versus the other ones. So that's why I appreciate this movie for what it wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Fluff Salisbury says maybe Mia and Beth meet in NA together because their trauma caused them to start using drugs. That could be an interesting way for them to meet.
Yeah.
Chris, I want the Ice Nine Kill song about Evil Dead Ex Mortis in the next movie too. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. That's a great song.
Kessler says Evil Dead Reign with people becoming Deadites worldwide with the 3 books. That could be interesting.
Yeah, because they need to combine the 3 books together.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
Can Wesley Snipes be on the plane? I think Samuel L. Jackson has been in enough planes. He doesn't.
He's had enough motherfucking planes.
I think
these motherfucking demons on this motherfucking plane.
That's what we need.
Michael says, could they do a crossover between Michael Myers and Ash Williams? I don't know if Michael would be a good matchup for Ash, but I think Jason would have been.
Hundo. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Jason if you had to pick one, but I would rather it be like Freddy. I would rather it be someone that talks because I think just their banter would be fun.
Oh my god, the banter!
Because like him versus like someone silent, like Freddy versus
Yeah.
Jason. You have someone talking, you have someone silent. I want to see them like bitching at each other, like just arguing. I think that would just be funny.
I still think Ash versus Freddy versus Jason versus Ash would have been it would have been a perfect freaking movie, dude.
Oh,
I think it would have been great.
Yeah.
Did you guys read the graphic novel of that?
Negative. No, I have not. No.
It's actually it's written from the script that was supposed to be like the sequel to Freddy versus Jason. So it's actually pretty good.
Oh, that sounds cool, man.
I will have to read that.
Yeah. It's for real, man.
Chris says no Ash crossover with any other horror icon, please.
Just let it happen, man.
It would have been an interesting idea. I would have been all for it. Ashen says his ranking is Evil Dead 2, 2013, the original Evil Dead, then Army of Darkness, and he hasn't seen Rise yet. Just a couple more here. A Deadite massacre on a college campus with a rock concert would be a riot with many victims. That would be cool, actually.
Yeah.
Kind of like combine like a green room kind of like setting.
That would be
Always
really
good.
cool.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Michael says he would not put Ash with any other horror icons either.
Chucky, though.
Chucky could work.
He punt Chucky so far.
Be hilarious.
Chris is asking if we watched the TV show. We just discussed that. I've seen it. Brad's seen one season, and you guys haven't watched it much either, right? He says he owns all 3 seasons.
I almost wanted to start
I would say you should.
But again, it's going off Netflix this week, so not enough time. I don't want to invest in it and not be able to finish.
I can give you guys a way to watch it if you would like to watch it. But
no,
we'll talk
Josh.
about that after the stream.
I know your ways up there.
You're
but he says he hasn't watched it yet. I'm hesitant because it knows it ends unresolved. The thing is, Chris, it does have an ending. It doesn't just completely leave things unresolved. It does wrap things up in a good enough way that it didn't need to continue the story. So don't worry about that. It doesn't just have a huge cliffhanger and it's like, oh my god, what would have happened? That's not how the show ends. Ashton never saw the 3rd season, and the final comment for now. Would you be mad if Ash Williams was portrayed by someone else and it's not Bruce Campbell? If it was supposed to be the same Ash from the older movies, I'd be mad. If they did a new reboot and it was a different Ash, then I could maybe get behind it depending on who played Ash, but it's hard to say. That's a hard role to recast.
Yeah. I don't think you can't really be that Ash. I don't think anybody else because that's basically Bruce Campbell just doing Bruce Campbell things. Yeah. So
yeah, for example, everybody freaks out if we're going to get a next Freddy Krueger if that's not Robert Engel, but you kind of have to because it's the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. You got to have him. But with the Evil Dead franchise, we already proven already, we don't necessarily need another Ash. So there can only be one Ash Williams with Bruce Campbell because, again, we've got a great character with Mia. We've got a really good character with Beth. So for the rest of the Evil Dead movies they decide to make, just give us new characters for us to support. Hell, even if you want to make a new character to make a trilogy with, go for it. But I don't think you should ever replace Ash.
That's just a good point in general, Bertie. Is that's one thing about all these damn remakes is that they always feel compelled to bring back the same characters, but they don't really share anything other than just the name. Like Nightmare on Elm Street, they brought back Nancy, but it wasn't really Nancy. It was just another girl named Nancy.
Yeah.
You can just create another character to put in your remake and it'll be good. It'll be fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree with that. We don't need another Ash. We don't need someone trying to be Bruce Campbell. Just give us a different character. Sure, it can be a leading man. I'm sure it's going to happen at some point again, but I don't want him to be Ash. I want him to be himself, I want it to be a new character. I don't want it to be someone playing Bruce Campbell as Ash. Just have them play whatever character they're going to play and just make sure they're good and make sure we care about them and we want them to survive and watch them do all this crazy shit like we've done with, the past 2 movies. Because with the past 2 movies, I'm not missing Ash, I'm not being oh, this is great. I wish Ash was here though. No, I'm focused on what's going on in this movie. So I don't think we need someone else to be Ash.
Exactly. Plus, what you're doing too is you're hurting the actor, or in this case, with Ash, you're hurting the actor's chance at a career because you're making them play a character that just can't be replicated, and the fans are immediately going to hate you for it. So, again, do a brand new character with that actor you hire, and then it'll be great. Or
you could bring John Wick in. That could work. You could do that.
Imagine John Wick Evil Dead movie where he's just killing a ton of Deadites.
Yeah.
Are you
I'm thinking you're dead.
That.
Yeah.
Back to what Destiny was saying, though. I like when movies kind of take remakes, take the essence of the story, but then kind of do their own thing with it. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 is a great example of that. Leatherface is still there. Obviously, you got the Texas setting. But we don't have Sally and the gang back. It's Aaron and her friends, and they find a way to make that story their own. Which is, even though Evil Dead 2013 is technically a sequel. It's obviously got the remake elements of going back to the cabin and all that stuff. And instead of doing Ash, we do Mia. So I like when we take the story and make it its own rather than just giving a straight up reboot, because I find those that end up being stale.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want like a shot for shot remake, reboot, or anything. I think 2013 did a really good job at like modernizing it and giving us like a reason as to why we're here and like why we can't leave and like why this is so important. And Evil Dead Rise, I think, does a good job with that too. Like, yeah, it's all like circumstantial stuff that happens, but like whatever, it's a movie. Like things have to happen in order for this to work, for it to be a movie. But with what happens, I think that does work because it's like, oh, can't leave. Why? Because like the elevator's fucked, the stairs, which I thought were a great sort of in my like what I saw it as was like a nod to the bridge all being fucked up and destroyed. Same thing with the staircase, that it's all destroyed. When they show the shot, I was like, oh, that's a good way to like, it's like a slight nod, but it also makes sense as like to what's going on in the story as to why they can't leave this place. So I think they did a good job at modernizing this as well. And I really liked the change of setting. When they first announced it, I was like, an Evil Dead movie in a high-rise apartment, that sounds a little weird. I was like, I don't know about that. And for like the longest time, I wasn't that excited for this movie because I was just like, I don't know. And then it kept getting delayed because of COVID and everything. And it wasn't until I saw the trailer to where I actually like let myself get excited for this. Because at first I was like, we're not going to get this movie. Like, we are not seeing this movie. It's not going to happen because it's been so long. It just keeps getting pushed back. Or is this even, I remember when they first, it was like about two sisters and stuff like that. I was like, this is going to be crazy. Like, what are they doing? And then when we finally got to see like a trailer and started to see images for it, I was like, oh, wow. Like, it's not exactly what I thought it was going to be. It is in a way, but it's not. And I compare this before I saw it to Demons 2. Yeah, because that is also set in a high-rise apartment and they're demons, but they are basically like deadites, you know, normal people just change and then all of a sudden they're demonic and they're like going around killing people. And so like this is probably going to be similar to Demons 2, and in a way it is like the same concept and everything, but I really am happy that they changed the setting. I do love a good like woodsy camp sort of like horror, like the cabin. That's obviously iconic and it goes hand in hand with this franchise, but I'm glad that they changed it up because I think it's a really good way to like, you know, bring it to like a new audience and a new generation. Like we're getting Evil Dead, but it's different from like what you've seen before.
Spot on.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. And they even do give us a bit of the, I guess, since we're now going to be going into spoiler territory, we do get the cabin stuff at the beginning where the whole opening of the movie is at a cabin. We've got one of the friends turning into a deadite and scalping her other friend. I actually had a lot of fun with that opening, especially when she rises up out of the water and it says Evil Dead Rise behind her. Like
the
that
best
was
title card in horror movie history.
That was so good.
The freaking title card, like you said, I'm glad because like from the trailer, I was really excited for that, which I figured it was going to be a small part of the movie, obviously, because it is set in the apartment. But I am glad that they included just like a little bit of that. And I thought the cabin looks cool. Like it's not your typical, it's like an A-frame cabin and it looks more like modern. It doesn't look so like dingy and like someone just like literally built it and then they moved in. I really like that they it looked like nicer, and I'm glad. And what I loved was the very opening because I was like, oh my god, they're already doing the shot and like, oh, this must be like the demon spirit already. And then it was a freaking drone. I was like, that's actually so cool. Like that's a really good way to do that. Like it got me. I was like, oh wow, like that was really freaking cool. So I did really enjoy that opening. I'm glad it was at the beginning of the movie because I was just curious as to where it was going to play in, like with the story. So as soon as it opened in the woods, I was like, oh shit. And then it panned to the water and we saw the deck. And I was like, oh my God, we're going to get like this part already. I can't fucking wait to see her rise out of the water. And that title card sequence, fucking incredible. That the time I was so, when it was rising, she was there. I was like, that is what I'm freaking talking about. Like I loved the Scream 6 because it's the classic, you know, swipe and you get, but this one, it's going to be hard to beat, I think, this title card sequence. If you give me a good title card sequence, I am happy. That's at least 1 star for me. That's just like, okay, you're right. At least if this movie gets set, you will get that 1 star for that title card sequence. It was amazing.
Hey, that's the same thing with the Freddy versus Jason title card. I think that's absolutely one of the great title cards of all time too. Yeah, it's like 1 star automatically. But yeah, Destiny took my ace of the sleeve right there with the whole drone thing. I thought that was absolutely hilarious because that was a good little swerve. Like, oh shit, we're already starting out serious. Here we go. If it's no, it's a joint by the dickhead boyfriend or guy that's freaking there and all that. Just this opening scene just sets the tempo immediately, what you can expect from this movie. And I thought it was absolutely terrific. A strong start, especially with the scalping scene, like where all that looked great. And then, of course, putting the drone right into the face because I was like, oh my God, they're going to do it. And,
yeah, he did say something about like a beheading, and I was like, we're going to get a beheading with that drone, and we did. And also, before we even get there, I loved what they did because from the original they have the cards and she's reading the cards and instead she's reading a book and then she's reading the book. I was like, oh my, like this is what
God,
you should do,
creepy.
like changing it but keeping it like the same but obviously making it different for this movie so it's not exactly copying, but it's a great nod. And even if you haven't seen the original Evil Dead, like that's not gonna like be weird. It's just like, oh shit, like how is she doing this? So I love that they did that. And that is something I do think that this movie does well, is doing those nods without it being too over
obvious.
the top in your face. Like, because whenever I watched 2013, I hadn't seen any of the other movies. And then going back, I'm like, oh, that's a nod. Oh, that's a nod. And it's cool because it's not something that I was like, oh, that kind of felt weird. Like, why was that in there? And it's only in there for the fans. I feel like it was organic the way that they like implemented like the nods.
Yeah, exactly. And I just thought the whole opening scene was absolutely spectacular. And we'll definitely get more into the nods as we go on in this movie because there are a lot more to be pointed out.
Yeah, they definitely do I agree with Destiny. They do a great job of getting the nods in this movie, but not being like, oh, here you go, guys. Like, here's that scene from the other movie you loved, kind of thing. They did things in a different enough way that you still got your Easter eggs, but in a more natural way, I found.
Yeah, it's cool shit, man. I like the way they did the opening, the with the drone flying in. It looked like the original POV cameras. That was really cool.
Yeah, and Brad, like, tell us the truth now. Yeah, I know you always blame how your little drone got destroyed by your dogs, but come on, you can be serious now. It's because of a deadite, wasn't it?
It was, yes. I didn't want to freak anybody out, but that was that actually happened though.
God,
yeah.
Don't blame your damn dogs, man. How dare
we took care of the one that did the drone, but I don't know how many more out there. So
be on the lookout for some deadites.
Yeah, Bolo and the deadites for sure.
So, what did we think about the everything after the intro, where we're introduced to the characters, like basically right up until the kids go for the pizza, like how we meet the 2 sisters, the mom and the sister, like the mom and her sister, the 3 kids, just basically how were you feeling with that opening part, meeting all those characters? Did you think that it was kind of ham-fisted trying to get everything set up right away? Because I do feel like we maybe could have used like an extra 10 minutes in the movie to flesh those characters out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that because like it opens up with like Beth and she's taking a pregnancy test. And I mean, if you saw the trailer, you'd make a great mom someday. You're not to lie to kids. And the poster says like mommy loves you. And like, yeah, it's talking about that mom, but it's like obviously like the parent stuff is like in this movie. And so I'm like, oh fuck, she is pregnant. Like there's no way she's not. So she's like dealing with that. And like I thought they did a decent enough job just to establish like baseline characters. Like the dad is gone. The sister obviously needs help. And so she's coming to her, what I would assume is her older sister, and like they have a good, but kind of like strained relationship. I would say a little bit. It's just kind of like, they're not both here. It's like more like this. And like with the kids, you can tell she's like a single, but she looks like the best mom. She has like bright red hair, like her hair dye is in, and she has like tattoo gun. She's like working on, she's like all these cool tattoos. She just looks like a freaking awesome mom. And it's upsetting with everything that else happens because she does look like just like the coolest mom to have. But I thought they did a decent enough job for like what we were given, like I guess with the time. I think it could have gone with more. I would say it could have gone more with the kids. I feel like maybe we didn't get enough about the kids. Like obviously we see, I'm assuming what is the older sister, and then you have like the brother and like the DJ and stuff like that, and then you have like the young child. And I like that they set up parts where it's like checks off scissors. Like when she like those are scissors, I'm like, those are coming back later. Can't wait to see them. And they did a good job with them. But I thought what they did was fine. It could have been better, but nothing to be like, oh, better than 2013, I would say, because some of these characters, literally, it's like, who are you?
Yeah,
What
really.
Fucking Steve. Steve's over here reading the book the whole movie. Everybody's just trying to have a good time. He doesn't come out of his room.
For real.
Yeah, I think the kids could have used a little bit more development, I think, for sure, because at the end of the day, they're very surface level. I still enjoyed them. I still think there's some of the better ones. What I liked about the opening with them, like the opening of this family, is that they too established that this apartment building is like condemned and like it's practically vacant. So that's kind of cool. It sets up a little isolation in an area you didn't expect to find as isolation. So that was a cool little part of that as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And before I continue, bring back the red. That's all I'll say. Bring back the red.
If I do red, I'm doing full. Like I want that red, not the streaks.
Yeah, I'm telling you, bring back the red. I'm telling you, that's all I'll say.
My hair might fall out in the process, but I really
like
like
the frog. Do it. But no, I liked how they set everything up, kind of like with okay, why should we be invested with Bev's character? Why should we be invested in his family? I agree with Josh. They could have done it for another like 5 or 10 minutes because this was only an hour 36 movie, and I feel like that's such an important detail to kind of like elevate the characters just a tad bit more for us to even care more about the characters, especially the kids, because of what happens to at least 2 of the 3 of the kids. And then kind of like Brad saying, like with the whole like setting and kind of like for the high rise to be vacant, the best word I describe it as, it's like it just felt like kind of like grimy and nasty. And it doesn't really look nasty, but that's the kind of sense that you get with this place, that it's just a nasty place. You kind of don't want to be here. You kind of want this family to move out, which they do include that like in part of their story, like they are moving out. So you kind of already want the characters to get out before anything happens. And just lastly, just why did Cassie have to drop the saw? Like that looked like a good, delicious piece of pizza, and I'm one of those people in movies where I hate where good food gets wasted.
I think I saw some pineapple in there, Birdie.
Okay, never mind. The pizza can fall down but it can fall down the whole of the earthquake. Which I will say this, that the whole earthquake thing is a little tacky.
Do you think that the earthquake was natural, or do you think it was caused by the book trying to?
I think it was the book.
Yeah.
I thought it was just natural.
They were in Los Angeles. You know,
because you got to imagine the small hole where it was at is directly to where the tomb was for the necrophile.
Yeah, it seemed like the book was trying to, because it almost like it knew the kids would be in the perfect spot to like be exposed to it.
Especially Danny Boy.
God damn it all.
Yeah,
you have to have one of those characters. You have to have a character that's like, what's this? Because you obviously have to get, like started. But every time it happens, it's like, no, don't do that. A creepy book. And I did like the look of this book. It looked different. I like the teeth on the side. I thought that was a good way to like, obviously, as soon as we saw the book, we know what it is. But I like that it doesn't look like, how it did in the other movies. I'm glad that it is changed up a little bit. And I thought the teeth were great. I would not take that personally. If I found a book with teeth like that, like I'll be like, I think I'm good on that. And even like the record, like the vinyls, I thought that was a really cool, which we've seen before, when they're playing like down in like the little recorder type thing. I like that it was vinyl, and it makes sense because DJ has like the music, and this movie like looks or feels like 90s, like the whole, it gives me like 90s like grunge vibes, like the apartment itself. And so I like that they included that, because like as soon as we saw those, I was like, oh man, you already know what's going to happen. They're going to play those. You just know it's going to happen. So I like that they did that, because to me, like, yeah, like it felt natural for the character Because, like, I'm sure if that was me, though, and I was into all that stuff, I would be probably curious too. Be like, oh, like, this is kind of cool. I'm going to play it just to see, like, what it is. The book part, no. The vinyl, I would have probably taken it and played it.
Oh, who we can, Desi? You would go down to the bank vault and try to find as much money as you can, hopefully.
That is, actually, I'm not getting in the ground. If I see a hole in the ground, I am not getting in that. I would
right after an earthquake is I don't know.
Yeah, definitely not. I'd open the book. Curiosity would
Yeah, me and Brett had that discussion.
Yeah, curiosity would compel me to open the book, but I would not climb in the hole in the ground, especially the parking garage.
Well, at least in the previous movie, the book literally says on it in one of the pages, "Don't read it, don't write it, don't say it," or something like that. And he completely ignores that and just reads the book. And this one, I liked how the kid starts playing the record, and then he's like, "Oh shit, this is bad," and the record's like, "Too late," and nothing he does can stop it from finishing. I did like that a lot.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
I was like, just take it off. And because like at first he's just like, oh my god, I was like, take it off. And then he tries and it's like zip. And I was like, damn. Like obviously, like, yeah, and I was like, God, at least they tried to stop it. Like, yeah, they started it. They tried. And I like the blood part where it gets like a cut and it like drips on it. And then that's like what sort of opens the book, which makes sense, like the blood is like what does it. And I was like, oh fuck, here we go.
That was a cool
and how great there, man. And how great of a scary movie moment it would be if the book opens and it says, "Do not read this book." And the next page goes, "No, seriously, do not advance this book." Next page it goes, "Fuck it, go ahead. You're going to do it anyway." Like,
fuck it, I'm warning you.
I think Scary Movie 5 touched on Evil Dead 2013 a little bit, if I recall.
Do not talk about that piece of shit movie, Josh. You know me. We do not talk about that movie.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
That's probably the best part of that movie, though.
Yeah, it's true. Part. Yeah.
Sarah Hyland playing the Mia character, she looks great in that. I remember that trailer, and I'm like, dang, she looks so much like her. That I thought that part, it is a bad movie, but I do think that the Evil Dead 2013 part of that is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and you guys were saying that you didn't really, you hadn't seen much of the show, but the show does establish that the book can change like how it looks, so that kind of fixes the continuity errors with why some of the books look different. It can alter its appearance. So
plus Army of Darkness said that there were 3 volumes of the book too, so that could be explained as 1 to 3 volumes.
Well, that's what Bruce Campbell said, that each, like, Evil Dead 2013 is one of the other volumes, and then this movie is one of the volumes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so really it would be cool. It would be cool in the future, again, like if you want to wrap up the whole franchise, you get all 3 books in the same setting to create like one ultimate book and one ultimate Deadeye.
Yeah, that'd be cool as shit.
Let's see here. Burns Review says Army of Darkness is his 5th favorite. 4th is Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead. 3rd is Evil Dead 2013. 2 is Evil Dead Rise, and the 1st is Evil Dead 2. He says they're all high 9s out of 10, just his preference on the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, that's what it comes down to. It rotates a lot, man.
I really like seeing after he plays the records when the evil starts going through the streets on its way to the apartment building and then going through the apartment building and smacking into the mother. I enjoyed that a lot.
I did too. Like I do not like elevators. Like I will get on them, and the more I get on them frequently, the less I feel like uneasy about them. But I don't like elevators, and so that part with it hitting her in the elevator, like itself, like flying up too, that already is like scary to me. And I like that they kind of gave us a tree scene in a way without it, for one, being creepy, and for 2, they made a way to do that scene in the apartment. I thought the wires, because when she's like first trying to, because she's like being like hanged there and she's like trying to reach for it, I was like, oh, she's gonna get it, and then it fucking gets her, and I was like, oh man, here we go, we're getting like the classic strung up, stuck, you can't do anything, you're getting possessed. I really like that they took that classic element of the Evil Dead movies and still found a way to do it in this movie.
Yeah, and they also toned it down, too, where it didn't get too extreme with it, kind of like how 2013 and the original did. Like, there was no, like, Jason Worm. Yeah, we didn't need that. So I thought they did a great job toning it down while also first off, a freaking elevator wire just stretching into your skin. Like I was like, oh God, no. Like,
Very good. And then again, and the way like I saw them like the video, the behind the scenes of them like filming that with her like being up and like dropping, and it looks like so much fun to film.
oh,
It looks like
she
such
was
a great
Melissa
time.
Severin. It sounds like it just seems like the coolest girl of all time. She was having so much fun on that set.
Hell, I would
Yeah.
too though. Oh my God,
Mhm.
that would be a dream. I want to meet her so bad. She's like all over all of my social medias, and
Mine
I am
too.
loving every second of it.
Horror convention. Horror
I know.
convention.
I hope.
So, what did we think of like the entire sequence of the mother getting basically possessed on the elevator, coming back to the apartment, and doing all her creepy shit that leads up to her screaming on the ceiling in the bathroom? Like, I thought all that couldn't have been done like much better. It started off nice and slow and creepy, and you knew the bad shit was coming, but it was just like building up to it, and then getting to the point where they actually like throw her in the tub and she's jumping on the ceiling and screaming, and we get the classic hands coming up out of the bathtub and her peeking up like the cellar from 2013 in the original movie. Loved all of that so much. I thought they did such a good job with that.
Mama's
something
from the
very-
methods now.
There's something very unsettling about when they had her into bed and they thought she was dead, and
Yes.
her name was Red, and she could also like anyway. So she was in there, and couldn't think of anything else to rhyme. But yeah, so they thought she was dead, so they put her in bed, and they're trying to like close her eyes and stuff, and they kept popping open, and there's like flies coming in and stuff. That whole scene was really creepy. It honestly, that could have gone on a little bit longer, in my opinion. It kind of wrapped up a little bit too quick, but I thought that scene was really good and effective.
Yeah, that scene was effective, and also learned about Alyssa Sutherland. She's a contortionist, so her doing like the whole like movements and like the whole bathroom scene, like she was legit doing that. And to me, that's why I put her as the scariest Deadite of all time in this
I
franchise,
agree.
because just her presentation of what she is able to do with her gifts and with her look. And first off, major bravo to the makeup team for making her look absolutely terrifying. It's just, again, just wow. Just when I thought Melissa Barrera was going to win Actress of the Year for potentially the Real Horror Awards, here comes Alyssa Sutherland. It's like, no, don't count out me just yet, because I think she's the absolute MVP of this whole movie.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would agree. I do love the whole scene when she like walks in and they're all like looking at her, and then she starts making the eggs and they're bloody. And again, you can read into that with, like the sister being pregnant and, all this shit that's going on. When I saw that, I was like, oh, like that means something too, and then she has like her freak out and they put her in the tub. She's like, my body's on fire. And I like that we're kind of getting in between her being herself and then the Deadite. And it's not like the Deadite trying to trick her right now. It happens later, but it's not like her trying to trick. Like that is actually her being like, don't let it take my babies. My body's on fire. And they put her in there, and the part like, cause that was heavily in the trailer, which I thought for the most part, I think the trailer did a really good job at showing scenes that aren't, I don't want to say important to the story, but showing like those like scary moments but not the scariest moments, in my opinion. I do love that whole her coming out of the tub. That is a great sort of our cellar type to again fit into our surroundings.
And you noticed what they did with the 2013, kind of like what she's experiencing, the page flips again and tells you exactly what they were doing out of the book. I was like, 2013 nod.
Yeah.
I do like that. I like the images that are in the book, and they were like, oh man, we see like what is about to happen before it's all happening. I thought they did great with that. And the whole bed scene, like Brad was saying, with the eyes, when he like tries to shut her eyes and it just pops right back open, and he's like, what the fuck? And then they're like praying and stuff for her and whatnot, and then they leave, and she's kind of having like this little heart to heart with her sister, and like saying how like scared she is to face her kids, because like I would be too, like your sister's dead, but you also have to be strong for your nieces and like nephew, like that's their mom, like that's your sister, but that is their mom. And then what happens? Eyes are open, and she is, and they're like, oh, like you're not like you're good, but like, oh my God, like you're alive, like we have to get you out of here. And then like it just gets so much worse.
Definitely not good. Not good.
Not good.
And just the way she walks too, and she's just like with the slow little like kind of
grudgy.
Yeah, I'm like, no,
Uh-huh.
fuck. I was like, fuck this, and then that's when she attacks Bridget with the freaking tattoo gun. Which again, I bet that was our old biggest fear that something was going to happen in the eye. Unfortunately, nothing happens with it, so it's just a little scratch right there. I'm thinking, oh, a little scratch right there, no big deal. Nope, I was fucking wrong on that.
Did you guys think that they would go all the way and take the eye out when that
I
was
thought they
happening?
would. I really
Yeah.
thought they would, and I was already bracing for impact. If when it didn't happen, I'm like, well, fuck. I was ready for it.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping from that because, like, again, from the trailer, it's like that split second when it's like going right here and it got close. I was like, oh my god, and it just like slices her face for like a set, like a little slice, and I was like, oh okay. Which then again, with what happens to the character, I think it makes sense. But then again, it would have been cool to have a Deadite with like its eyeball missing, or
Or
like the eye's
hanging.
like fucked up, and she like pulls her own eyeball out
Oof.
and then
Yeah.
eats it. Why not? That would have been. I
Yeah.
wanted just more gross out horror. I feel
Yeah.
2013 has a lot of gross out. When we did the watch along, that movie made me like actually throw up. And I ate before this. Okay. I ate before Evil Dead Rise. And I literally was like, I hope it makes me throw up. Like I hope like I'm gagging. Unfortunately, it did not. It did not reach that expectation for me. But I do wish it would have had just more gross out. And that's probably my only like genuine complaint with this movie is like, again, it could have pushed, I think, the gore further. It had plenty of blood, don't get me wrong, especially towards the end. Plenty of blood, just not enough gore. Not enough gore for like what I was expecting by the way people were talking about it. So then what happens? Oh, I did like the eeny, meeny, miny, mo
Oh
part.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
We got the little girl
meeny, miny. Oh god, that scared me too.
that
Yeah.
did, and then you have like one of the neighbor boys like comes up and stuff, and then obviously when they show up, I'm like, okay, this is the way to get her out because we know she ends up outside of the apartment, so gets her out. So they're all doing their thing, and she's just fucking them up. And I love all the peephole shots. I think the peephole
my
shots
God,
in this movie are
yes.
fucking great, especially the one that is like the image for the peephole shot is like her like looking in and like smiling, that creepy ass smile.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
liked
now-
watching all the chaos, but staying in a still setting, but watching the chaos move back and forth instead of us following it exactly. I like just to see like what is going on around us, but staying right here for it. I thought that was great.
And then the ice. Oh, I think Brad's having technical difficulty. The icing on the cake with that scene. It was like when she kills one of the neighbors, the blood dripping down through that like peephole. I was in my chair like, this is fucking awesome. Like just when it couldn't get any more better, they just found a way with just that simple blood just running down that peephole, kind of like making us feel like we are legit looking there. Like I thought that was great cinematography.
Absolutely.
And we get some of our gore from, well, some of the gore that we did get from those scenes. Like, not so much gore, I guess, when she's like killing the kids and see her like throwing their bodies and stuff, but when she like grabs Buddy's throat and like rips his throat out, and you see it like his throat peel away and all the blood start gushing out. That was really good. I wish I agree. I wish we had a little bit more of that. I feel like at points maybe Evil Dead or 2013 had like, I don't know if I'd say too much gore, but maybe pushed it a little too much. This movie didn't quite push it enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. And so then what happens? That's when we have Bridget. Is that the
Bridget?
Yeah, Bridget's the middle child. Cassie's
Yes.
the youngest child. And then Danny is the guy.
Okay, so then we have this is a scene with Bridget, right? Like some stuff, chaos is happening, ensues, but then we get Bridget turning into the Deadite, and you already, as soon as that black shit starts pouring out of her nose and stuff,
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, it got her. Which I was like surprised. I wasn't surprised that some of the kids die. I knew that was gonna happen. I saw some tweets like saying like, oh, this movie really said fuck them kids, so I knew kids were going to die or be turned into a Deadite, whatever. But I was kind of surprised like that did it too. And I was just like, oh wow, like all she did was get this cut, but It's what did it. But the black stuff pouring out of her eyeballs and her nose, and it's just like shooting out of her. Looks so nasty. And then, of course, when we cut back to it and we hear that crunching, I was like, dude, I know she's eating fucking glass. That was good. When you see the close up of the glass,
my god, that freaked me out.
So brutal.
that was really good. I was like, that is exactly what I am talking about. I love when we do get those moments, they are so good.
That reminded me of Oculus, man. That was good. That was freaking nasty, man.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings us to one of the famous moments in the movie that everyone was waiting for, right? Is that yet? No, or is that later?
No,
that's
the same. That's the same scene.
So this
yes,
is
the sister walks in, sees that happening. She turns around. She's all like eating the glass, and then we get the cheese grater scene.
All right, so let's talk about it. Yes, the cheese grater scene. What did we all think about the cheese grater scene?
I want to hear Brad, because Brad's been craving for a cheese grater scene ever since we started Good Will Hunting. If you see episode 0, we talk about a cheese grater scene. Or I'm sorry, episode 1 with a cheese grater scene with the Scream franchise. So Brad, what do you think about the cheese grater, man? I know you've been craving for it.
It was a great scene.
Oh, wow.
No, you know what? It was cool, man. I thought I think we got a little too excited about it from the trailer when we saw that they were going to do it. I think, and again, it's nothing they did in the marketing per se. I just thought we all saw the cheese grater, like, oh, this is going to be a lot of fun. And at the end of the day, it was pretty underwhelming. I mean, like, it was gnarly. Like, it definitely wasn't a situation you wanted to be in, but they could have done a little bit more with it at the end of the day. But at the end of they still used the cheese grater as a weapon and flesh some skin with it. So that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree. I'm glad we got it. I do think for the most part it was like all of us, because like I was really enjoying that trailer, and then as soon as I was watching this like on my phone at work, and I was on break, and as soon as we got that, I literally had to pause it. I was like, oh my god, this is going to be so fucking crazy. And here's my only complaint with that. They did put the cheese grater on a Fright Rags t-shirt. So, like, I feel like that's one thing that's like,
and the hashtag on Twitter, too, when you do hashtag
it's
Evil
the
Dead, they had so you thought.
Not even a chainsaw or anything. It's the cheese grater. So I was just like, oh, shit, it's going to get crazy. And, she grabbed it and she goes for her leg and she swipes it. And then it's on the ground. And I was like, please don't tell me that. And it makes me wonder, like, after they filmed the movie and the trailer came out, and then seeing everyone's reactions towards that cheese grater scene, because obviously people are losing their shit for it. I wonder if they were like, oh, fuck. Maybe we should have, like, done a little bit more. Because, like, maybe they just weren't expecting that to have such, like, a impact on us. Being like, oh, my God, it's going to be insane. So maybe now if they know that, maybe they would have went back and, like, made it longer. Because I thought she could have at least used, like, five swipes. Like, I wanted part of her leg to be gone, not fully, but like I wanted a chunk gone, because that would have just been so cool. I am happy that we got it.
I thought something worse. I thought, like, not only we get the leg, I thought she was going to, like, get her back and do like even starting hitting with her on her back, kind of like, like I just wanted her to do something a lot more aggressive than just one single like leg scrape, which that still just bothered the hell out of me. But nothing bothers the hell out of me more than 2013 when we just did that rewatch of the freaking machete with the whole leg.
Nothing will top that machete.
Nothing's going to top that in the whole entire Evil Dead franchise. But the cheese grater had that potential. But I was disappointed. I'm sorry. That's the big thing we overhyped on, like, as horror fans in this movie, was the cheese grater. And same thing with you, kind of like saying the t-shirts. Like, even that's like little mis-selling, like mismarketing what exactly happened with it.
Well, there's even a poster that has the cheese grater on it instead of the high-rise building. I really think that while I enjoyed it, you're right, like you guys are right, she should have done like 2, 3, 4, 5 swipes of the cheese grater.
Mm-hmm.
And B, it wasn't even that bloody. Like, sure, there were marks from the cheese grater on her leg, but I feel like we could have taken it a little bit further, or maybe even had the cheese grater be used like twice on 2 different characters or something. Like, cheese grate the little girl a little bit. Like, she needs to get some damage without killing her. That's gory enough. Like,
that would have been a good way for like some damage to be done without obviously too
killing her.
much, but like just a little something, because like
Yeah.
no one should be safe in this, when you have your other, granted they are a little bit older, like at least 16 and up, these teenagers, so they're probably 16 and 17. That's, you're getting closer to being an adult, but still it's like, oh man, you even had the young boy though. That young boy was probably like 10 or 11. We don't really know, and he gets killed too. So
Yeah.
I
Right.
think there are times where I felt like we should have been more like, oh my God, she's in danger. But for me with the little girl, I never, like, yeah, she might be in danger, but I was like, they're not going to fuck her up. They're not going to hurt her really. Like, nothing's going to happen to her. Ultimately, she will be saved. But the cheese grater was definitely, that is my biggest disappointment with the movie. Aside from all the other gore and everything, the cheese grater part, I literally like looked over at my friend. I was like, that's not it. That isn't it, right? And it was. But yeah, I would say a lot of it was us being overhyped because we got excited, which can't blame us. That's really cool. And then some of it was a little bit of the marketing kind of overselling how important this cheese grater was going to be in this movie. But nonetheless, like Brad said, I'm excited that we got it. It was still cool. It's just, it could have been so much cooler.
Somebody needs to get a cheese grater to the face for sure, dude. Like,
Yes.
like right there, man. Some shredded cheeks. Like,
she should have had it in the
legit.
hallway.
Yeah,
they should have put her. Like, she should have somehow got it out in the hallway with her when she was killing all the neighbors.
Yeah, let that be the Deadites' main weapon.
Yeah,
a cheese grater.
Yeah,
we're gonna get our next Evil Dead movie, and every kill will be with a cheese grater. She's like, I'm fucking tired of everyone complaining. Here,
and you know what's going to be? I'm already ready to put myself in timeout, but I don't give a shit. It's going to be Gouda.
You know, Mia's missing that hand from 2013. She should replace it with a cheese grater.
That is a great idea. Y'all seen a chainsaw? What about a cheese grater? Not nearly as effective, but still a lot of fun.
Yeah, but also very
that'd be the tiniest arm of all time, or like the tiniest hand. Like I'll use my strong hand.
Yeah, let's grab a strong. A lot of good uses though. Like you could slay some deadites with it, or you could just shred some cheddar. You know,
yeah, you're feeling hungry after killing some deadites.
Wash her off.
Don't worry about the blood on the cheese. It's fine. It's fine. It's just a little sense of quality of food. But no, like we definitely could have used more cheese grater. Like Brad, instead of the whole T-shirt, more blood, more cheese grater.
Yeah, more cheese grater.
That was my review for this movie. I don't do in-depth reviews or anything on Letterboxd. My review for this movie, 4 out of 5 stars. Could have used more cheese grater. That was my review.
And I instantly liked it when I read that. I'm like, okay, she gets it.
That was it.
Well, I feel like if they had used just a little bit more, it could have became like a really iconic scene in the series. And then maybe in a future Evil Dead, when like the movie starts or something, like they're panning through the kitchen, they linger on the cheese grater again for a second. You're like, oh shit, here we go, cheese grater again.
Kind of like in 2013, whenever Mia's in that shed and it like lingers on the chainsaw for a second, but then we don't get the chainsaw yet. That would be pretty fun to like that sort of be like an ongoing, almost like joke, like a running sort of thing throughout the franchise.
Oh man! Oh, we forgot the most important character in this movie. I just totally forgot about it. We got to talk about Staffy.
I was just about to get to Staffy.
Fucking Staffy. Hey, Staffy had his time to shine in this movie, killing Dead-Eyed Bridget. Oh, at least as we fought during that time.
Well, it was pretty cool that the little girl got to do that.
Right. And it's awesome. Like one of those things is like, oh my God, that's her sister. Like, I'm glad she got a part to play, like, with handling these Deadites, She fucking running at her and sticks her right through the fucking, goes straight through. And I was like, oh no, but like that's her sister. She used to that too. And she's like in shock and she's like sitting there. And I was like, oh, I feel bad, but I'm happy that she got a part. And then later on, she gets like a little, like, when she turns on the grinder thing. So she gets like some stuff to do rather than just being like on the side while you have Beth coming to her rescue at like every moment. I'm glad that she actually had stuff to do in this movie.
Yeah, I kind of thought that maybe I thought it would go one of two ways with her. I thought they would once the other siblings started getting infected and stuff. I thought maybe they would go with like the evil little girl route where she would get turned into a deadite and then she would be like fucking people, fucking people up. But the the aunt was too will hesitate too much to actually injure her because she is the youngest girl, but they ended up keeping her alive, especially like later on in the movie when they got to the parking garage and stuff, and it like the monster grabs her and pulls her back in, and I thought, oh, she's dead. Like I actually thought that she was going to die there. But
yeah, but I thought she was always safe, and plus they kind of needed Cassie to kind of help expand the story upon Beth being a mother, and like her protecting Cassie was that, oh, Beth is going to be a good mom. Even Cassie made a reference in the movie going, "You're going to be a good mom" and all that. So I always figured she was safe, but yeah, towards the third act, that one particular scene, I did thought for a second, like, oh shit, are they actually getting ready to kill off a kid? Like, even though they did kill off 2 kids in the hallway.
Yeah.
Which one of them, if you all noticed, was wearing the clear contact lenses from the original Evil Dead, which I thought that was really cool to bring back the glass contacts for a little bit for one of the Deadites.
I don't even think I noticed that, but that is cool because I do like the look of these Deadites. Because again, like each movie kind of has like a different variation of what they look like, and I like this because it wasn't too silly. Like Evil Dead 2, the Deadites get silly, like flying around and shit like that. But this was like, it's just them, obviously just them in makeup, but it works so well because I think that it makes it feel more realistic rather than having a bunch of like prosthetics like all over yourself and like, you know, wearing like full body stuff. I like that it's like them with obviously makeup and probably like some prosthetics to like alter them a little bit, but you can still tell it's them. Like it doesn't look like a completely new person. You can still tell it's them. And I think that adds something to like, this is your family, you know, like, rather than look like a completely different person, it still looks like your family. Although Bridget to me towards the end, because she's like bald now, she looks like from the opening of 2013, the girl that's like tied up and stuff.
Yes,
that's what she looked like to me, and I was like, I'm sure that is like a nod to that movie too, because she looks just like that one. But I liked all the looks for the Deadites. I thought they all looked cool, especially when we get towards the end with
we'll get to there.
And Brad has the best name for the creature towards the end.
Okay.
You call it like a Deadeye morphosis or something.
Oh yeah, something like that for sure, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and Brad, you also introduced like a new kind of like Easter egg that they did like the chant in the hallway.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah. Yes. Dead by Dawn. That was cool as hell, man.
Dead by Dawn.
Yeah,
I had no idea. I was like, "What the hell are they chanting?" And Brad goes, "Oh, dude, that's the tagline for Evil Dead 2." I'm like, "Oh,
yes.
Shit, okay."
Yeah, they were freaking
another good Easter egg.
Yeah, and it made sense, and I like this. You know, there's that scene there too where they. She spits the eyeball out and it goes into the other dude's mouth or whatever. Yes. That was kind of another Evil Dead 2 callback. So it was kind of cool to get those.
So then where are we at? Oh, the part again with the little girl looking through the peephole and, you know, she's like, oh, your dad's over here. Like, we want to be a family, obviously trying to trick her. And we get the classic image of her like looking like straight forward, like doing that creepy ass smile that she does. So freaking good. And again, it's like the child's put in danger a little bit. And then I don't even know what happens after that.
Well, after that, we get the cat in the
you're
event,
like,
yeah.
What, Brad, what did you think of the cat being the reason that she gets back inside the apartment?
Yeah, that was interesting, man. I don't know. It kind of made me think of Alien a little bit. I don't know why.
Okay,
something about cats and ventilation systems always bring me back to that. But that was interesting because they kind of foreshadowed it a little bit, and then earlier in the movie. So I thought that was good, and really just in general, this whole movie did a good job of foreshadowing things. But yeah, that came up, and that was smart. That was smart on her part. I thought the Deadites in general were just smart in this movie. You know, like I thought they were all, they were playing hell mind games, like you said, saying, "Oh, your dad's right here. Let's be a family again," and all that stuff. Like the very, very wise Deadites in this movie for sure.
Yeah, and then we get the absolute my favorite scene in the entire movie is when Beth and Cassie went into the elevator. And then we get the big ultimate homage to what Brad's all-time favorite horror movie that's right behind him in The Shining. And
Yes.
plus, just to see the blood, like just like go behind the lights, you see like the yellow lights and the blood just fills up. Like
Yes.
That
I
was
am
so
a
good.
big ass sucker for those kind of scenes right there. It brings me back to the original Evil Dead with the light bulb turning red and all
Exactly.
that. Like
Yes.
it's so beautiful to watch. It's like, okay, real horror awards, like best like cinematography possibly. Like I'm giving it to this movie, but it's up to the fans, not up to me. But I just absolutely love it.
Yeah, I would agree. As soon as we saw it like filling up like slowly, I was like, yes, it's like the light bulb again, taking something, putting it in this movie, making it work. But even before that, we're going back to like the vent part. I think one of the creepiest part in this movie for me is when you have Beth listening on the head like the headset to like what is going on, and then you could just see behind. You could see her coming
Yes.
down. The girl, we were all like putting like, oh my god, like that was so good because it's a scare that's hiding. It also reminds me of like Hereditary, where you have like the
Yes.
mom in the corner just like doing that thing, and your characters aren't aware, but we're like watching it all happen. I thought that part was so good, but I thought the elevator scene was so good. I had seen that there, I didn't like click on the image, luckily, but there was like, I think like an article or something about the Shining reference or something like that, or it was somewhere in there, the person I saw on Twitter, like, if you're watching this movie, do not watch this. Like, do not watch this because it shows something that's really cool. And that's what it was the homage to The Shining. I absolutely loved it. A great way to incorporate a bunch of blood like super fast,
Yes.
so we can get like more like of our blood. So I
More
thought
blood.
that whole scene was great because now more blood. You're worried about, they're stuck in this elevator. Now they can drown in this blood. And the whole time I'm like, look, the blood's rising. Go up. Like always, if you're stuck in it, go up into there. So I'm glad that they freaking did. But
Plus,
then again, it doesn't help that
Hannibal
much.
Lecter's up there.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, no, that was the scene for me that really kind of turned things around for me because I was actually up to that point, I was starting to be like, all right, cool, where are we going with this?
Mhm.
But then they get in that elevator and all that stuff happens, and I'm like, all right, I'm right back into this thing. And the rest of the
Mhm.
movie was fantastic. That was really cool.
Especially. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brad. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, it just reminded me of so many things. Obviously, The Shining. Obviously, that's a big reference, but it reminded me of It Chapter 2 a little bit with the
Yes, with
blood
the
rising up,
elevator.
That was really cool. And just, like it was just, yeah, it was just cinema, from a cinematography standpoint, it was really well done. It was so cool to
Mhm.
look at.
Absolutely, and what really like Brad said gets it going to after like they reenact the whole shining bloody elevator, we see Cassie and Beth drenched in blood with the red faces, and I
Yes.
just instantly fell in love. It's like, God, what a best way to give representation of characters going through hell than being just downpoured in blood and getting a cool ass look to go into the third final act.
Well, going back to like just before they get in the elevator, when the mother's laying on the ground and they're like sticking their arms inside like her stomach and stuff, I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? Because
Oh, especially the book. Like the book showed that too, like foreshadowing with them like
yeah.
ripping it apart. And I knew that was getting ready to happen. Like, oh my god, I can't even watch this. But
But what you guys are saying, like when they were in the elevator and it was filling up, and she's like, "Oh, we can get out through here." I was like, "No, you can't." And then all the arms start coming in, and I really love that. I thought they did an excellent job with that whole scene. And this like
Mhm.
amalgamation monster or deadite or whatever it was.
Yeah, because like that's not something we've really seen before, and it like I haven't seen Color from Outer Space, but I do know there's something a little similar to something like that. Or
Brad, they didn't feed the llamas.
Alpacas.
Or, I'm sorry,
Those
the
are
alpacas.
alpacas. Yeah, those are alpacas
exactly.
in that
So there's
particular film.
that. There's another movie that I made Brett watch that has something like, I don't want to say it because it is like the whole point of the movie is when we get to that part. But
Oh crap!
when
You're
you
gonna have to
have
remind me what movie.
okay. Or even like The Thing, like when you have like this like nasty thing all like kind of like coming together. I love when they do shit and when it's like running at them too. It looks so nasty and it was so cool because again, it's not something we've necessarily seen like that before. So it was a good way to add something different for these movies.
Yeah, it was freaking that was really creepy and it just felt odd and weird and just like it was very effective in the way they were able to pull that off.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. Before we get into the final part of the movie, I just want to check in on the comments here. Kyle Curtis Flett says hello to everybody. He said he loved Evil Dead Rise. Hatchet Boys had to go. See you in the next one, Hatchet Boys. Thanks for joining.
See you, Hatchet Boys.
Mark Jones, thank fuck, no creepy tree scene. Yeah, I could do without. I could do without that. I'm glad they didn't do that with the train wires or the elevator wires.
Me too.
I was afraid that it was getting ready to happen, but
I was.
Michael Joe says Evil Dead Rise is woke. I never got any of that from the movie, to be honest, myself.
Or did I?
Me neither.
Me either.
Mark, y'all make me want to go see this movie. Sounds weird. Go see the movie. You've got to go see this movie.
It's worth it. Like, there's a lot of times I do skip out on going to like the theaters, but this is definitely one I wanted to see in the theaters, and this is one 100%. I recommend go see in the theaters. Like, I know it's gonna hit streaming, I think, like on the 9th or something. Like, it's
May
coming
9th,
out.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's
May?
really yes.
What?
HBO?
Well,
it was originally supposed to come to
too fast.
Well,
that
it was originally
true.
supposed to come to HBO. That's probably why. It was supposed to be a HBO original, but once they produced it and they're like, this shit's pretty fucking good, they ended up dropping it to theaters.
Plus, they had like a lot of like early access to showing it too, so that's probably what they made consider like the 40 days and all that. So that's probably why too.
They might change their tune once they freaking find out how much money it's making, though.
Oh gosh, almighty, yeah.
Chris says he's going to refer to all his viewers as titty-sucking parasites from now on. That's a great name.
Oh my god, Chris! If you don't call me that tomorrow, then we're no longer friends.
Mark asked if it's up there with Evil Dead 2013. I would say it is.
I agree.
Absolutely, yeah.
Chris says the Shining scene was insane.
Mm-hmm. I did the Leah point. I did the Leah point too. It's like, oh, Brett, this is for Brett. Hey. Okay, I just need to carry that clip with me wherever I go.
You should, just send it to me. I'll play it in a stream sometime. Mark says he's loving all this talk about blood. There's definitely a lot of blood to go around in this movie, if nothing else.
Right, that's our next t-shirt. That's going to be one of our t-shirts. Is more blood.
So getting into the final scene. Oh, Matt Facci's in the comments. How's it going, Matt?
Hey,
hi, Matt.
Just talking
Hello.
Evil Dead Rise.
Okay, wait, Jesse. I think I know the movie you're talking about now. Was it with Matt Facci that we watched?
It was.
Okay, I know exactly what you're watching. Sorry, it's when Matt got in there and clicked for all of a sudden.
There you go. Yep, exactly.
So getting into like the final, I guess, not act, but the final scene of the movie with the parking garage. How do we feel about the finale with her going down into the parking lot with the youngest daughter, almost narrowly escaping? Actually, let's start with the car scene first, where they're getting in the car and they're about to drive out. Did you guys think it was? Oh, what did you say, Brad?
Oh no, sorry, I just thought now I forgot to mention this earlier, but I love how like it is kind of Ash's car, but they kind of changed it up a little bit where it's obviously not Ash's car. They made it a freaking woodchuck car, like because you know how much wood could a woodchuck chuck and a woodchuck chuck. I can't say that.
Wow, you almost had it.
I can do it. Wait, okay, let me try again. How much wood could the woodchuck chuck and the woodchuck wood?
Yeah.
There you go.
Nailed it.
Okay, I'll shut up now. But
I did like that car scene because they established earlier that
the clicker,
the clicker, doesn't always work. But it's like messed up. So I like that they established it because that's something usually I feel like we can pick up like the scissors. Like, oh, it's gonna come back later. When that happened, I didn't even like think about that was gonna come back later. Even though it's like, well, yeah, like they have to get out some way. That does make sense. But I like that too because it wasn't like, they like lingered on it and it was like, oh, like it's not, but it wasn't like, oh man, this damn thing never works. Ugh, like it wasn't so just like over the top. It was just like, oh, it's not working. Oh, it works. Cool.
I thought it was all just trying to show like how shitty their building was. Mm-hmm. So I never, I didn't really think about it again either. But then when she pulled out the clicker, I was like, oh, you're fun.
Oh, no, it's
not. Again, like Brad said earlier, it's just they did a great job in this movie foreshadowing things that later on played into a major factor.
Oh, definitely. Agreed.
Definitely a strong point, man. For sure. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. They were trapped. Hell in a cell.
Honestly.
Well, freaking Beth escaped at least.
Yeah.
Damn.
But I will say one thing that kind of I don't know, pulled me out of the scene a little bit was that when they opened the door to get out of the car to avoid the thing getting them through the window, they were making kind of a lot of noise moving around the
Yes.
car. And even when she's like, shh, like
Oh
super
my
loud.
god, yes.
How
Oh.
did the monster not hear them? And when it's got like 3 heads, how was one head not looking underneath the car? One head's looking like I feel like they didn't play to the monster's strengths enough.
Oh,
And
can
if
you
it has 3
imagine?
heads, it at least has to have, I'm going to give it 5 ears, you know. It
Yeah.
at least has, that part I was like, girl, you can do this and we will know. We don't need to hear it. And they're like stepping on the glass too. I was like, oh boy. And it reminds me of the scene from Scream 6 and
Yes.
from Jurassic Park, you know, when they're like maneuvering like around everything while it's like right there. I did enjoy that. I thought like the tension was great, but at the part, I was like, oh, it did kind of take me out for like a sec. I was just like, whatever. It's like a nitpick, but still, I was like, you wouldn't do that. You would.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if like they went shh, and then all the sudden the monster goes over, the car goes, you shh.
Yeah, something like
Yeah, so don't you fucking tell me to shush. Like,
Yeah, that part was a little silly, but
yeah.
everything else though I thought was pretty good.
So when they finally get the clicker to open the door and they are running for the door and they both get out, but then the little girl gets pulled back in, you guys were all pretty confident that she was going to be okay?
Yeah.
I still thought so, but again, we almost got proven wrong on that. But yeah, I still thought she was okay because again, they were establishing the whole time that Beth could be a good mom and all that, and to save her. Like, so I knew that was going to happen, but how everything played out, I thought was great.
Yeah, and like you know, from the trailer, there were shots that obviously we were going to like see from like that trailer coming. So like, I knew she's gonna have to go back in. I'm surprised that like it didn't kill her because it was just kind of she was just kind of like sitting in there. Like I thought I would think that thing would try to like immediately fuck her up like as soon as it could, but then it could just be luring her back there, you know.
Well, I thought it was just going to assimilate, like she would go away and it was just going to assimilate her into it, and the next time we saw her, she was just going to be part of the blob.
That would have been so nasty. Like so cool though.
And she'd be like, "Why didn't you save me, Auntie?" or something like that, like just to really drive it home.
I said, "You failed your sister. You said you would protect her children. And look, they're all with me now," or something like that.
Yeah, that would have been really good. But no, we do get a wood chipper though.
Oh yeah,
or grunt, wood grunt, whatever you want to call it.
We get
and
a wood
I
chipper.
do
We
love
get
when
a
they
shotgun.
include those.
I totally thought that her hand was going to get taken off by the wood chipper, like as a nod to the other movies.
Me too.
It's kind of like Star Wars, man. Like a hand just has to be taken at some point. That's really open to the franchise.
It's true. It's a staple at this point.
Oh my god. But no, love the shotgun, kind of like this kind of same style shotgun used in the Evil Dead franchise. Yeah. Of course, we get our chainsaw and all that, and the wood chipper was freaking awesome. The blood spewing everywhere, just amazingly, like, just awesome to look at. And then, of course, we get the head still talking shit at the very end, and that's when Beth's like, "Oh, fuck this," and she kicks the head. Oh, it's so great.
Yeah, and I like the way that the chainsaw scene was shot because it was shot like the 2013 when you have Mia like going through, and I like the way it showed that, and you know, had her pushing in. And I like that the head was still talking shit. Like that's just, and it looks so good. Like obviously, like her head's not really off, and like I thought that looked so good still too. I thought it was great, and I love the final kick. It's like I just couldn't imagine going through all that, and like now like your family's dead, and you just kicked your dead but alive sister's head into like a wood chipper. That is absolutely insane. And I, like I said earlier, I like that the little girl got to help play a part in that, even though she wasn't the one doing it, but she was the one that, you know, helped like turn it off and turn it on when needed.
Yeah, I love the participation of the little girl there. Did you guys think that the sudden kind of arrival of the chainsaw was well done, or do you think it was almost felt a little bit like, oh, here's the chainsaw now?
Yeah, I would say a little bit. but I'm glad we got it. I don't want an Evil Dead movie without the chainsaw.
Yeah, it's
And like they
iconic.
put it to great use. And so like, yeah, I do think again it was like happens by like circumstances. But I'm glad that we got it. And I guess it somewhat makes sense, maybe. Like I could see it making sense. Like you have wood chipper, so obviously you have
Yeah.
like tree shit. Like I'm sure like maybe it's like a tree cutter shit going on, like a little
Yeah.
business
Right.
or whatever. So like if they didn't have like the wood chipper, I would have been like, okay, come on. But like since they have that, it can kind of make sense. But yeah, it is like you got lucky that there's a chainsaw.
Yeah.
But I don't want to not see a chainsaw. I want the chainsaw. So again, happy we got it. No matter how we got it.
I like that she went back for it. She's like, no, I'm bringing this with me just in case.
I love the chainsaw and the boomstick freaking just laying there on the ground. Yeah, that was cool.
It was cool because it's like, look at your options that we've like established throughout this franchise. Like, look what you get to choose. And I'm glad that we get like good images of her like with both.
If they only included a third weapon, the fucking cheese grater. I would be reaching for the cheese grater.
Well, I totally feel like the cheese grater could be a new like iconic thing for the franchise if they say revisit it and maybe not the next movie, but like the one after, make it even more brutal than the scene we got. And then the cheese grater could just maybe be something that happens every now and then in the franchise.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Happen. I think it should. And then what? She dies and they just get out, right? And then
they played the
yes. Then we get, which is so cool because I forgot about this opening.
Same.
So much has happened since then. I haven't even thought about this opening. Okay. But it makes sense and I like, because usually I don't like wraparound stories because you know exactly how it's going to play out. But with this movie, I think it works because these aren't our main characters. Like the Pet Sematary 2019, hate how they do that because you know exactly what's going to happen because these are your main characters. With this, because they were side characters, we don't even know that well. Whenever, she's in the garage, and it still makes sense as to like why she's like, oh, I haven't had cell reception. Like all this has been going on, and they think it's all just because like the earthquake, all this crazy shit and whatever. And she's down there, and then we see it like kind of take over her, and it makes sense because she's like on the phone with her friend, like FaceTiming. And dude, her friend, man, if you never want to do something, just don't go because you might get out.
She was an introvert. We could tell that her friend was an introvert.
Yeah, that is me. So next time, if I'm like really not feeling it, I'm gonna think of this movie. I'm like, I'm gonna stay home because if she would have stayed home, she would have been fine. But no, she goes with her friend, and she gets killed by her friend. But I really liked the way like that. They included that. I thought that was really cool. Just because again, I've completely forgot about what has happened in the beginning of this movie, and I thought the way that they did the wraparound actually worked out really well with this. And then that is like that whole opening, we could go from there more because like all we see last of her is she's rising out of the water. She's not dead. She's still possessed.
Yep.
More shit can still go on if they wanted to continue from that they could do that.
Brett, I figured it out because you know how the Friday the 13th, the Crystal Lake is tied to the ocean.
Yes.
What if she was in the Crystal Lake and she goes to the cruise ship getting ready to take off, and that is how we tie it into the cruise ship?
Yeah.
Let's freaking party, man. I think that makes a lot of sense. She could climb that rope the same way Jason did back in 1989. It'd be really good.
Rise.
Yeah.
Or you just rise and just like land on top.
The rope would be cooler.
One thing I would say about that whole ending is that they didn't fix everything in the end. Like some of the other movies, they reread from the book or whatever, or like destroy everything. This movie is left very open-ended. Nothing is stopped. The curse is still active. There's still deadites coming from the book. The book is literally sitting up in the apartment waiting for the next poor asshole to find it up there. Like she's just like, okay, peace.
Fuck, I would too, though. I'd be like, this is someone else's problem. I survived the night. I am gone. But yeah, they do leave it to where like there's so many different like ways they can go about this, and I kind of like that. I didn't even think about the whole opening, how that is not fixed. Like that is still very much going on. And now like I would like for them to like I think it would be kind of fun to go back to, even though I do love this setting, I would like to maybe go back to like the cabin, and you can go back there if you wanted to, and you have other like people like campers and or whatever, and they're just like, what the fuck? Or maybe it's like a couple weeks later and they go to stay at the same cabin and all this shit's still around and like all these bodies are still there and you have a deadite just like running around. They could like jump off and go back to do something like the original if they really wanted to.
Yep.
And I also love how they ended the movie too with the camera shot of the classic from The Evil Dead, where the camera's coming all over and the girl goes, ah!
I like that too.
Yeah, I thought it was a perfect way to end it.
Yeah, I love that camera zooming in, even if it's not through the woods. Like, I love the variations of it in this movie, going through the streets of the city or going through the parking garage from all the different angles. I thought they did a really good job with that.
I thought they would have at least a blooper by now, somebody trying to do that, and they just trip like, oh shit, like, and then just keep going. Like,
well, because I just watched Army of Darkness, there's a scene where it's going behind Ash, running like he's on a horse and is following on a horse through the woods, and then he falls off and he starts running, and it's like blasting through trees as it's coming to him. The trees are like splitting. There is one part where it's going, and the tree goes to split, but it doesn't quite split all the way. And it kind of looks like the camera bonks off the tree and then goes around to the side instead of going through like it was supposed to. But that might have been on purpose.
Ooh, check out freaking Robert Anthony's last comment, like the very last comment. Did not think about that.
Robert says, if you look closely at Ellie's tattoo on her arm, her tattoos are tree vines. I thought that was a great Easter egg. I didn't even notice it. That's really cool.
I didn't notice that until he said it.
No, like I saw the tattoos and like I saw that they were all like curvy and like twisty, but I didn't even think they're tree vines. I was just like, oh, that's kind of that's cool, you know. I didn't think that's what that like represents. That's really cool, actually.
Hell yeah.
Robert also says he's seen Evil Dead twice already, loved it. His ranking at the moment is first place Evil Dead 2, second The Evil Dead, third Evil Dead Rise, fourth Evil Dead 2013, and fourth Army of Darkness.
Nice. Once my buddy gets done being sick, I promised him to take him to go see this movie because he was so excited to see it with me, but he got definitely sick that day, so I had to go solo. So I promised him when he gets better, I take him.
Hell yeah, dude.
So I have a question I've been kind of waiting to ask you guys the whole stream, but I figured I'd wait for after we've kind of discussed the movie so it's refreshed in our minds. We'll start with Brad since he's been not quiet, but it's his turn to start out with the question. What do you think about this as the fifth movie in a franchise and like in the Evil Dead franchise compared to something like Scream 5 as how do you think this fits in with the other like fifth movies in major horror franchises?
Well, compared to most franchises, it's really solid. You look at most franchises are really not doing too good, not doing too well, I should say. By the time they reach their fifth movie, Scream you mentioned is actually an exception. I think Scream 5 was actually really good too. But this movie isn't really particularly trying to follow any particular continuity or anything. It's kind of starting its own thing up. And, it alludes to some things that happened before, sure, but yeah, it's really kind of setting up a new storyline again, kind of like 2013 did. But yeah, for a fifth movie in a franchise, I think it's doing really good. I think it did really well Thursday night, I should say. It was good.
Do you think it's do you think Scream 5 is better, or do you think Evil Dead Rise is better?
I would go with Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah.
Scream 5 I think was awesome, but it was also very safe.
Yeah.
Where this, it goes out and gives us kind of a new, obviously new characters, new setting, everything about it feels really fresh, where Scream 5 felt really much connected to the first movie, really trying to just play it safe and give people a little bit of nostalgia, a little bit too much nostalgia, I think, where this movie's just kind of just going for it, man.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Brett?
I think again a very solid entry into the Evil Dead franchise, which is a franchise that is definitely one of the best out there. Like I said earlier, like based off of quality, because each movie you can enjoy within this franchise. So I think adding another one just kind of like again explains like we are the top dog when it comes to horror movie franchises of doing everything the right way. They have definitely done everything the right way, and speaking of like between this one and Scream 5, Scream 5 did what they did to start a whole nother trilogy, which I don't think I ever got that sense of Evil Dead starting a trilogy. They just are kind of leaving everything open. So if they want to come back and do another movie, they realistically can without having to follow up on anything. They could just do a completely new story, which I think that works for the Evil Dead franchise better than what like because that kind of idea does not work in the Scream one because it has to have like consistent story and all that. Evil Dead doesn't necessarily have to have that consistent story, but for some reason it still tries to find a way. It's still all connected. It all still makes sense. But for those two movies, I'm still going to give it the Scream 5 because I just love the Scream franchise. It's my favorite horror movie franchise, and I just understood what Scream 5 was trying to do, and I really appreciate it for that.
How about you, Destiny?
I would agree with like what's been said already. I do think it out of like a lot of the major franchises, it is one of the better fifth installments. But from like what they're saying, it's not following any like this is a new story starting over, of course, with Easter eggs and everything like that. But it is a new starting off point for potential more movies. I'll have to give it to Scream 5 as well, though, for everything kind of like what Brad said, but the opposite. I liked all the like nods to the fans, like here you go for the fans, just because like Brett said, Scream is my favorite movie ever. Scream is my favorite franchise. I like everything. I am Scream over literally anything. I'll take almost any sequel over, if it was like Scream 3 over Evil Dead Rise, I'm still picking Scream 3 because it's Scream at the end of the day. But
no, I'm kidding.
Like, anyways, but I still think Evil Dead Rise, for it being the fifth installment, it's great. Which then again, it's not like Evil Dead wasn't like a franchise like Friday 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street to where you're getting your fifth movie and you're still in the fucking 80s, like it's 2023 and we're just now getting a fifth installment. And like, yeah, there's a TV series and everything. So it's not like we haven't gotten anything Evil Dead since 2013. We still have, but it just feels like it hasn't run its course like a lot of those franchises had started to do it before we even left the 80s with Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Friday 13th. They're already almost running out of ideas, but still trying to make money. This doesn't feel like that because it's not like, yeah, it's trying to make money, but it's not trying to cash in on anything because it's like super hyped or anything. It was just like, we're getting a new Evil Dead movie. Here we go. Here you go. And I thought they killed it. Even though I have small complaints and little gripes here and there, I still thought it was a great movie. I would love to go see it again in theaters. If I don't get to make it to the theaters again, I will definitely be watching probably the day it is added on streaming just because I want to watch it again.
Yeah.
Because I want to look for all the other nods. I just want to watch all the creepy shit happen again. I want to see all the blood and the gore and, again. So I'm excited. Yeah.
So I guess I have a feeling what you're going to say this, but how do you guys feel about this compared to our most recent release, Scream 6?
Yeah, easily give it to Scream 6. Like, okay, I probably shouldn't say easily, but like just for me, because again, I love the Scream franchise. It's not a contest. It's Scream 6 because Scream 6 blew my expectations out of the water. While Evil Dead Rise, it did blow my expectations out of the water, but it was still a very solid movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would give that. That's a tougher matchup there. I would give that edge to Scream 6 as well.
And I feel like Scream 6 just made me feel more. Like I felt there are so many times where like watching Scream 6, I was literally like sitting like this, being like, oh my God. Yeah. I didn't get almost any of that besides like some laughs here and there, some like, oh, and then like obviously the part where she's coming out, that's the biggest reaction from me was just like, oh my God, like that's so cool. But Scream 6, there's so many scenes that I was just like fully like in it, and like whether it be like chase scenes or like people actually getting killed or like stabbed or whatever, there's so many scenes in Scream 6 that like had me sitting out of my chair. This movie didn't really do that almost at all. So still Scream 6.
Same for me. I would give it to Scream 6 as well. I think one of the biggest things that Scream 6 had going for it too is that we had so many characters to worry about this time around.
Mm-hmm.
Like we obviously did last time as well, but once you got to something like Gail's chase scene, I don't think I breathed for like 5 minutes straight. Like I was
not
on
until
the edge of my seat,
when
like,
they said she was breathing, that's when I could sit back. The entire time
Yes.
though, I was like, please don't do this to me again. I can't handle it.
Again, I'm still mad at Gail because if Gail would have died like she was supposed to, I would have gotten my prediction right.
It wouldn't have done anything anyways. You would have still lost. No, I'm just saying.
Oh, and he's gone.
For good.
That was uncalled for. I'm sorry.
It's true though.
But it is the truth.
Only Brad gets it. Only Brad gets to make you the living squares now, not me. I get a freebie.
Wow.
Well,
Okay,
I mean,
who would you rather trust cooking, me or Brad?
Brad.
That was a trick question. It was supposed to be me, but okay, I see where your allegiance lie.
You told me you can't cook.
Well, I could partially cook.
I make good meals actually.
Yeah, Brad
and
does
Lemon
make
Squares,
good meals. He's
Brad's
been,
a dad. I
he's
give
been
it to
tearing it
Brad.
up on the
Yeah.
flat iron grill lately. So
and plus Lemon Squares, I could probably knock that out. I could do that. Yeah, hell yeah.
Do that. I'm sorry, Brett.
it's
Maybe
okay.
if you had like one of the fucking like Hello Fresh things to make them, sure.
No, that's even worse. From experience, that's even worse. But you know what? No banana pudding for you, then.
Whoa. Now that's something easier to make here.
Well, I would say my mom makes the best ones, so but I'm just not sure how to ship it, like to coldness and all that. So.
UPS.
Oh,
not
they
USPS.
they can serve it cold and all that.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, they'll do it. Yeah,
What?
no, yeah. Just ask
No
them.
problems.
Okay,
I'm sure they got a cooler waiting for you specifically.
Watch me try to say, "Hey, ship this whole banana pudding." Like, we don't do that here. I'm like,
I'm
"Damn it,
sorry.
Brad."
Do you know where the fuck
There's
you are?
There's a spoon in the chat saying, "Leave Brad alone."
Yeah, dude, I like this guy. I like this guy.
God, we
Chad.
almost went one full string without a shit stirrer, and here he is.
Chad rhymes with Brad. I think that's good. That's good. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sold.
man.
Oops, I accidentally muted myself for a second. I
No,
muted
Chris,
Brad.
Brad's not a bully. I over explained that story. He's not a bully.
I bullied him into saying that actually. I said, Brett, you tell these people that I'm
Brett, you better fucking tell them.
Chad says, "Don't let Des cook. She'll burn the whole restaurant down."
That's not true. Don't let me start a fire outside. That's a different story. I can cook. Well, I can cook, okay? Sometimes, though, I do forget to turn off the oven. But I've been fine. I try not to use the oven that much. But I'm okay. I'm doing good. We're still going strong, so
There you go.
leave me alone.
So if you guys could have like let's say we get Evil Dead 6 in like 2 or 3 years, what is the number one thing you would like to see in Evil Dead 6? Whoever has something can go first.
Cheese grater.
I knew you were gonna say it.
I got to. Like we need a redemption of the cheese grater. Like even if the cheese grater is possessed by a deadite, we need something.
Oh wow.
A laughing cheese grater like Evil Dead 2.
Oh my. Okay, I
That's
wouldn't say
funny.
go that far, but that would still be hilarious. Like all those little mouths start laughing. Like
I would say stronger developed characters.
Yeah.
A good setting, whether it be, out in the woods or somewhere new. I think the rock concert is actually really cool. Because again, you can have that playing through speakers. That's what I want to see. Because I was talking about Demons 2 earlier. Demons 2 is much on a much more larger scale. So many people are being changed and stuff. And I want to see that. I want to see a bunch of people it like infecting a bunch of people rather than a few people here or there, because that's what we're limited to. I would like to see more people being possessed, amp up the gore a little bit. You don't have to go super over the top. Like, I don't want like slapstick gore. I want 2013 nasty
Needle
like,
in the eye gore.
yeah, like stuff like that. I don't want like, something silly or anything, but I do want a little bit more gore, more developed characters in a cool setting. And I want the book to again have a unique look but still be scary.
Oh my god! Like I'm just imagining a scene where like half of the room is being possessed by dead eyes, and they are just starting to kill everything in sight. And if we want to be goofy, you can have the Dead Eye rock concert, and the dead eyes just freaking start singing heavy metal, and just like
Okay,
just
and
go
then you have lightning shooting out of their guitars, hitting people, and then that's
See,
what's
we're
turning on.
we're talking about the Black We're getting on Black Rose territory now.
We
Is this
are.
Slumber Party Massacre too?
That is well. Look,
Let's see,
it could
that's a
work.
good one.
Give us more guitars in horror. That's what we need.
What about
I'm
you,
just over
Brad?
here
What do you want
looking
to
at
see?
First off, right now I'm seeing Chad's comment here. I know you read it already, but just the spelling has got me all confused. I've been trying to wrap my head around this spelling of
Yeah,
death
Brad does
here.
not like spellings like that, especially like ask him how I was spelled the witch.
The Vivitch, but he had des spelled out with a tilde. Yeah, I was like, I don't know how is it des? Go at des cook? I don't know, but anyway, yeah. So what I would like to see is just some continuity in the franchise. I want them to build towards something, even if it's like not necessarily connected to this per se. You don't have to bring Breath back, but like have some kind of continuity towards like maybe collecting those 3 books. Or something like that, like a goal, something to go forward in the franchise, kind of start to build a franchise out of it. Because they do have a franchise, but it's like nothing has really been connected since the first 3 movies. So, let's start to connect these things a little bit and see what we can do with it.
And what else, Brad?
More blood.
Yep,
More blood. Cheese graters to the face.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that'd probably be what I would want most out of the next one, is to up the gore factor a little bit. Like this one, I enjoyed the gore in this one, but I feel like Evil Dead 2013 really nailed it. Like it was just so gory all the time in that movie. Not just bloody, but actual like gore. Him getting stabbed a bunch of times with a needle and stabbed in the eye, and then her cutting her arm off.
Oh my gosh. That's probably still the best
falls
practical
on them.
effect in the whole Evil Dead franchise, where it's just the
Yes.
arms hanging and just bam,
It just
hits
rips
the
off.
floor.
And then the nurse cutting her mouth with the jagged glass, and then the nail gun, and then pulling the nails out of themselves, and
So good.
like you said, the machete going through her
The
leg,
box
and slowly
cutters.
sliding out. The box cutter scene, like there's so many memorable gore scenes in 2013. Whereas there are some memorable ones in Evil Dead Rise, but not, I'd say, not on the level of 2013.
Agreed. Yeah, I want like more standout moments like that, because like I said, I saw 2013 that year, but all those scenes I remembered because those stuck with me from that one time watch, because they were so like they just stick in your brain. And I'm trying to think of 2013, or not 2013, Rise, and I can remember it, but nothing is like jumping out to me like those movies do, and that I can name so many. There's nothing in particular gore-wise. Maybe the glass coming through the neck, that was probably, I think, my favorite sort of like gross out moment. But besides that, I feel like there really wasn't anything that's like, whoa, that was absolutely fucking crazy. So I want some of that. And I, like you said, I think 2013 just set like a bar for like what these movies can be. And then like that spoiled us. And now that's what I'm expecting from here on, either that or more, like amp it up even more if you can, but that's what I'm expecting. And so when this one didn't kind of reach that level, I was like, oh man, like they know they can do it. We've seen them do it before. So I definitely want them to push it a little further next time.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Robert says, do you guys want a male lead in the next Evil Dead film, or continue with another female lead?
Honestly, they're a good character. It doesn't bother me whether they're male or female, as long as they're a good character.
Yeah, I don't give a shit either way, man. Just let it ride.
I would say, like, I do agree. Like, I just want it to be a good character. But I do like that the franchise kind of shifted from being so, because it's Ash in all three movies, and it's all like revolves around him. And even though this like isn't like a continuation of anything, I do like how the franchise has kind of shifted towards more of like a female lead, because I just like seeing badass women with chainsaws getting covered in blood. Like I love that. So I would like more of that, but I would rather it just be a good character regardless of, a woman or a man. But I would prefer a woman just because I love women in horror. So
For me, I would
Hey,
say probably a woman, but I would want it to be either Mia returning. I'd like to see another returning like lead. So either
Mhm.
Mia returning for the next one, or what was her name? Beth, the main.
Beth.
Was it
Beth.
Beth or Beth returning? I would like to see like maybe a little bit more continuity from the franchise. But honestly,
Mhm.
I'm fine with it being a man or a woman for the next one. And
Yeah, hell yeah.
Chris says, I think them saying 3 books is them saying all movies are in the same universe. Yeah, the director of the fourth movie confirmed that it was a sequel set in the same universe as the first three. And I'm pretty sure Bruce Campbell made the statement saying 3 books, anyone can run into them, and that Evil Dead Rise is just people in this same universe running into another copy of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I feel like if they're going to do that, there needs to be a little bit more of a clearer, like,
Yeah.
like, because then you can watch them and be like, oh, it's not. But then when they say that, it could be. And sure, they're saying that, but just like watching it, I'm not like, oh, this is the same universe. That's not crossing my mind at all. To me, this is just something completely different. So if they're saying that, then I would like, sort of like a basis level of being like, this shit is happening in so many other places. These books are like everywhere, random places, and it's happening to more people than just us. So if they could establish like that, how I was saying, and Josh, like more continuity, have a story kind of build up rather than we get 2013, we get nothing. We get Rise, then we get nothing. And then we start again, and then we get nothing. I would like them to build upon something bigger, just something. And then, like Chris was saying, I like have a movie where it all kind of comes together and all ties in together, and you can tie up all the loose ends. I think that would be a great idea. That's something I would love to see, is for them to all come together, fix all whatever is tight, and just boom, it's all done. And then eventually get more Evil Dead movies, because I don't
Pod-
want to get like 1 or 2 more movies and that be it. I want to keep getting more, but just finish off these storylines and just start completely over.
Or we could get podcasters that do research of all the events of every single event that's happened in the Evil Dead, and that's how you tied everything together. And then they interview Mia, and then they interview Beth, and they try to do a get together, and then that's when all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, that could work.
That would be cool. And it would kind of bring up the whole, like, tie in, like, the whole researcher part from, like,
Exactly.
part 2, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
You can, like, tie that all together and, modernize it again for our audience.
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
Let's see here. Chris says, I'm so ready to watch this again. I'm going to own this in 2 weeks.
I am too.
I honestly can't believe that it's coming to digital that soon, but I'm definitely going to watch it again the second it comes out.
Absolutely.
And Chris also says that the podcaster idea is genius.
Mm-hmm. And plus, it's just a modern day thing that everybody listens to podcasts these days. Like, if there's one person that says that they don't listen to podcasts, I'll tell you they're lying. I'll say assume everybody has one podcast they listen to.
You got to at least have one to get, you through your day.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I got like 5. That gets me through 5 days. So like I'm perfectly set.
Have you guys ever listened to Scream with Ryan C. Showers?
I don't think I've heard
Yeah.
that one.
No, he does a lot of really great Scream content, like does like full podcast episodes. And he's on episode like 102 now.
Oh god.
You guys should definitely check him out.
It's
I
called
will watch
Screams.
Scream with Ryan C. Showers.
Okay, gotcha. I'll look that up.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess we've been going for a little over 2 hours here. So to wrap this up, do you guys, how do I say this? Do you guys think that ultimately, like, with everything that happened in Evil Dead Rise, uh, did it fully? Did you feel like satisfaction when you finished the movie and walked out of theaters, or were you feeling like kind of like
Like Halloween
like did
ends.
yeah.
Oh man, nothing like that. Slightly disappointed, but still happy. I let my expectations get a little bit too high just from all the surrounding hype and everything, and just seeing everyone's reaction saying like, oh, it's like the craziest movie and blah blah blah. I don't know why I listen to people when they say that, because a lot of the times because you leave the theater and you're hyped and you're excited and you just want to talk about it, and oh, blah blah blah. So maybe just like don't always listen to people's initial reactions when they leave, because there's always gonna, well, not always, there's always gonna be a buzz though. Whether you like the movie or not, you want to talk about it. You want to talk about like the cool parts and the bad parts or whatever. So I felt slightly underwhelmed, but again, I gave it a 4 out of 5. So I still very much enjoyed it. I think it could have reached, 4.5 for me if it would have amped up the gore a little bit. But that was really my only setback, was that part of it. So if it wasn't for that, I would have given it 4.5 out of 5, because I like the story, I like the setting, I like the characters, even though again they could have been a little bit better. What they did with what they were given, I thought they did great. So if it was just a little bit gorier, it would have been a 4.5 out of 5. That's the only thing for me that held it back. So slightly underwhelmed, but still very much had a great time. Like I said, I will be watching this as soon as I can again. So still very, like, I'm still a huge fan. Just a little bit more gore.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with this up there about the about this. Yeah, I mean, I did feel a little bit disappointed. I think I just had my expectations a bit too high. But really, I still enjoy it. It's still one of my favorite movies in the franchise, and one of my favorite movies this year. So there's really not that. I mean, you could say that, yeah, sure, but it's still really solid. So yeah, I guess at the end of the day, yes, I did feel satisfied.
Yeah, definitely. Like I felt like we all did overhype it, and but it's not like one of those overhypes like, oh, I'm so disappointed that I didn't do this. I was still pleased with what they did, and I'm glad it hit the theater versus HBO Max and starting to make its money, and big successful weekend it had, making over 20, the projected goal of over 25 million, 40 for a world release. So I was satisfied walking out of the theater. I was like, I had a really good time with it. Yeah, could it have been better? Absolutely, it could have been better. But I still had a good time with it. I felt like it was money well worth spent for that particular theater experience. And I will still stick strong to my 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, for me, I would say it's hard for me to do it out of 5 on this off the top of my head. I'd probably do like 3.75. So like I would say like 7.5, 8 out of 10 for me, just because everything that was happening in the movie, I really, really enjoyed it. And any of the nitpicks I had are just like kind of like minor nitpicks here and there, like not having enough gore, like maybe the cheese grater scene could have been a little bit more than it was. But overall, I had a really great time with it. Like at no point in the movie was I sitting there being like, okay, I'm feeling a little bit bored now. Can we move on? Like things were constantly happening, so I really enjoyed that aspect of it, because some of the older movies, like while things are happening, I don't know, it does feel like there's some slow bits at times. Where this movie, especially, like once it got going, it just was like go 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 go.
Yeah, it started and it didn't really stop, which I enjoyed, because then all those little complaints I had, I'm like, well, it's still going. So like,
Yeah.
oh well, we're still getting more. Even if one scene didn't live up to my expectations, we're still getting more constantly. So I do like, and it went by so fast. Like we started the movie, and then all of a sudden we were leaving. I was like, holy shit! Like
Yeah.
it went by so quickly, and again, I think it could have been a little bit longer. But for like the runtime, I thought like it got pretty much right into it. We developed it. We got, almost immediately the mom is turned into a deadite, and then it just does not stop from there, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. I like that we got to spend like just enough time with the mother to like kind of get to like her and see that she was like kind of a cool mom, I guess. Like she was like yelling at them, being like, "I could have done that" and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
she seemed like she was genuinely a nice lady. So when it actually gets to the point that she gets taken over by the Deadites, I did feel bad for her and her children.
Mhm.
Me
Yeah, same
too.
here.
Upsetting.
Chris says one of your 5 better be the Jigsaw Files podcast.
It
Brett.
is, Chris. It is.
Ashton says, Brett, you go watch Halloween Ends right after the stream and you like it, sir. LOL. Just kidding.
But I did like it, but I only liked a certain aspect of it. But I do got to edit after this, so I'll watch it after I edit that.
You can watch it
Yeah.
during. Can't be as gutting as H ends. Yeah, I could do a whole other stream on Halloween Ends, so I want to start getting into that right now. Mark likes Halloween Ends. Ashton likes Halloween Ends. Mark thought it was a bit of a slap in the face. So is there any final things you'd like to mention about this movie that maybe we didn't go over, like a certain scene, or like I totally agree with Brett when he says that the mother is probably the best Deadite in the franchise. Like I think she is probably my favorite by, like, Mia was really good in 2013, but I think the mother definitely edges her out because she was just, we saw so much more of her, I felt like, and she was just so much creepier.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I thought Deadite Mia looks scarier, but I think it's the way that the mom plays it in Rise. Like, she has more, like, character almost. Like, there's more to her rather than her just, like, you know, like, rocking back and forth and, like, you know, like, licking the girl with her tongue. Like, she's doing more than just trying to be gross. She's doing more than that. She's using, like you said, smart. Like, she's smarter than, like, I feel like what most Deadites we've gotten so far. And there's just more, I think, development with her character and, you know, the whole aspect with her children and everything like that. And it adds a different level of just, like, sadness. And so I definitely think she's my favorite Deadite. And it's just, like, immediately she became iconic. Like, as soon as that trailer came out, immediately it was just like, wow, she looks absolutely fantastic. So I do think Deadite Mia is creepier and, like, grosser looking, but I think the mom Deadite just plays it almost better, or just handles the character. I don't know. It's just, I wouldn't say plays it better because I think they both play it well. Just the character, I think itself is just like, it's like, oh fuck, the mom being a Deadite, that just adds a different level of, like, sadness, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I felt bad for, like, the brother, I guess, when Mia was turned into a Deadite because he had to deal with all that. But it's so much sadder watching the kids see their mother going through this and, like, thinking she's dead and then having her trying to kill them all and even be responsible for, like, one of their deaths. Well, I guess 2. And they did a good job of pulling at heartstrings in this movie, whereas some of the other movies don't necessarily do that.
Right.
I agree with that.
Right.
So wait, Michael Joe says Michael Myers would win against Ash Williams. It's hard to say, honestly. A lot of random people have beaten Michael Myers in the past, so I think Ash would stand a fair shot at that.
Yeah, he's better than Busta Rhymes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. And Robert says, I really hope Evil Dead Rise gets an unrated version. I would love that. Like, if they do have more gore filmed, throw that in for the unrated version, please.
Yeah, but
sure.
the problem with that would be, like, why did not just put it in the theater?
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark Jones says, if I stay awake, I'm going to see Evil Rise today. You should go see it. It's a great
You
movie.
should go see it right now.
Check
Do
it
it.
out.
Right now. Go see it.
Yeah.
Or I guess wait 2 weeks for streaming.
That too.
Or you can go see it in theaters and give your money to this movie. And so
Yes, that's true. That's what you should do. Yeah.
It does
Make sure we
deserve
get a
money.
sequel. Yeah.
Mhm.
I had the
Yeah.
option of buying a ticket or using a free pass for the ticket. And I bought my ticket because I wanted the movie to make at least some money
There you go.
in hopes of getting a sequel. So whether
There
or
you
not my
go.
ticket.
That's how you should do it.
Like,
Yeah.
I hope my AMC pass, like, because I pay $20 a month to go see unlimited movies, I hope it uses that $20 for this
Damn.
movie.
That's incredible. I wish we had something like that.
Oh, yeah. AMC.
So I think we've just about wrapped up the Evil Dead chat here. But what do you guys have coming up for like on the channel or just projects or anything like that?
Fear Freaks next week. We're going to be talking about Evil Dead Rise. So,
Awesome.
Gonna give my all these thoughts again. But I think as of right now, that's it for next week. What?
Nothing.
Nothing. What?
You know,
I don't know.
Friday. Watch party.
I will be. Brett and I will be. We just talked about this earlier. This evening.
That's what I was laughing.
Brett and I will be on Chris's channel. We'll be doing a Scooby-Doo watch along. I'll be doing the first with Brett. Brett will also be on the second one, but I will be on the first one, which I'm very excited about, even though I did forget. It's just my brain. So, Fear Freaks on Wednesday, Evil Dead Rise. Friday, Chris's channel, Scooby-Doo watch along.
Hell yeah.
What about you guys?
And what's coming up on Good Real Hunting is tomorrow we're going to be releasing our Evil Dead franchise ranking tomorrow. That's going to be the plan. We also got some other videos we are working on for our Patreons. We're going to try to get that up and running and release to them as soon as possible. And then, Brad, what are we freaking doing Thursday? What are we watching?
Well, we're watching. We got to think of. Yeah, we're gonna be doing that. We also got Evil Dead Rise versus Evil Dead 2013 coming up right around the corner too, which is gonna be epic. Slash it out. But also, yes, Thursday we're doing Friday the 13th. Part 5 watch party in the midst of our Friday the 13th watch party series. So that's gonna be a lot of fun as well. Thursday night, 8 o'clock Thursday.
Yeah, 8 o'clock Thursday. So a lot of good content coming up on Good Real Hunting.
I'm definitely excited for that slash it out because it's going to be a tough battle between 2013 and Evil Dead Rise.
That's going to be a doozy, dude. I'm really excited for that.
I already told Brad it's going to be the hardest slash it out we'll ever have to do.
Yeah, it's on the list for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I'm going to be doing, I think I'm going to be doing a ranking as well of the Evil Dead franchise, especially because they're all just so fresh in my mind. I'll be doing a live stream this week. I think I actually am going to be doing a Scream 6 watch party on the channel because it comes out very soon on digital, and I can't wait to watch it again. I'm probably going to watch like all the Scream movies in the span of like 24 hours leading up to watching that one because I just want to see them all to make like a proper like re-ranking of them. And then coming up soon in like 2 or so weeks, I've got Friday the 13th Part 6 with you, Brett and Brad. I'm excited to watch that because it's the best in the franchise, so I'll watch that anytime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, we're excited to have you, and Chad as well is going to be our other special guest for Part 6. And I'm pretty much going to feel like I'm being triple teamed in that stream, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
have fun with that.
Appreciate it.
Yes, I know it's not your favorite, Brett, but it is the best.
Well, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Part 7.
I know you two aren't the biggest Jason Lewis fans, but Part 7 is a good one. I do enjoy
Part 7 over 6.
Get out of here. Go ahead and cancel.
Get a 10.
Yeah. Oh, well, I agree.
Yeah,
Chris Snyder saying his Movie Misfits is his channel name. He's giving it out to some of the people in the chat there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, do it. Yeah, and also next Saturday, this coming Saturday, I'll be on Chris's channel again for a cinematic showdown with special guest Mel, and we're going over a triple threat match between the Lost Boys, Fright Night, and Near Dark.
Ooh, that's a crazy fight.
So that's going to be another hard matchup too.
Yeah, guys. So thank you so much for coming on the channel and talking Evil Dead. 2.5 hours of Evil Dead. That's a pretty good runtime, I would say.
Yeah.
It's like a whole hour longer than the movie.
That's what I was about to say. It was a lot of fun. I'm excited to talk because I haven't really been able to talk about it that much because I was on a little vacation, so I wasn't really talking that much to people about it or anything. So I was excited to finally get my thoughts out there because I've just been sitting on this the whole weekend basically. So I'm excited to actually, talk about it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got your first thoughts here as well, even before your other stream coming up.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm so
the initial
excited
ones.
just to word vomit all over again. I really am.
And thank you guys so much in the chat for joining as well. I always appreciate all of you coming to join in the live streams, because we couldn't do this without you guys and all your comments helping to like further the chat and prompt conversations. It's like some of the best thing about this is getting to chat with people about horror movies. And obviously Evil Dead Rise is the movie of in question tonight. And I think from what it seems is like we all enjoyed it and you guys all really enjoyed it too. So I'm glad we had this, like another huge franchise, like one of the big major horror franchises releasing another new movie. We've been so lucky the last few years getting 2 Scream movies, multiple Halloween movies, and now Evil Dead Rise, and also I guess a new Chainsaw, but that was less exciting, I guess. But I don't even know what the next major movie to come
Insidious.
out. Oh yes, Insidious, the Red Door. Yes.
Yeah.
And then I guess we got The Nun 2 later on this year as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so exciting.
None 2 equals Annabelle creation. That's all I'm going to say. Y'all just wait.
I think it will be better than the first one.
Okay.
All right,
I'm telling you, when y'all walk out the theater, you're going to be like, shit.
I will not be in the theater for that movie. I will go ahead and
Me
say
either.
that.
You're not going to go to the I will. I'm going to go to theaters and see it
Assholes.
just because it's a Conjuring film, but if it sucks, I might question that about the third one. All right, guys. Thanks so much for coming on. And I'll see you all guys in the next one.
Sounds
See you
good, man.
guys.
Appreciate it.